She's fading. We gotta go. I'll get my car. What mine? Yours. I gotta get me one of those.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bat Dan's Interviews. So tomorrow, we have a big day ahead of us. Hashtag SellZSJLToNetflix, hashtag SellSnyderVerseToNetflix. This is probably going to be the most important trending day that we have had in a long time, or honestly ever. Our last shot at getting the Snyderverse, and good things are going to happen. I know it. So today, I'm going to interview a very special guest to get us hyped up for Sell. But I wanted to ask you guys something on a related note. What do you think of my very first logo? What do you think of my current logo? What do you think about this Marvelous Discussions logo? What do you think about this amazing logo that was made to honor our great friend, the late Mikey Sutton? What do you think about this logo? Or 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 let me see if I get this. Just working on StreamYard right now. That's okay. In that case, then let me just remove myself So you're probably wondering, why was I showing all my different logos? Right now, we don't really need any Christmas stuff right now, other than just this montage. And last but not least, what do you think about StreamYard? This design right here, this glorious design. Well, today I'm going to bring on who I would say is a producer of this channel. He designed all this amazing work that you saw right now, and he is the Flash of SylNation and the Cell movement. Please welcome as I bring on the good Austin. How are you, man?
Good, good, good. I had to make sure I was unmuted before I said anything because that always happens for me. But I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on, and I appreciate you doing this before our trending day. So we are gonna able to like hype that up a little bit. When you asked me, "Hey, can you be on?" I was like, "Yeah, we might as well do it before trending day, though. We might as well do it then." So thanks, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, anytime. And I noticed you have a new setting right now. What is with that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have officially moved back to the Empire State, back home. So, planning for a wedding coming up in a couple of years with my beautiful lady. So this is home now. This is the current setup. I didn't want to show anybody everything I got going on here because it's all a mess. But you know, there will be some evolution to what you guys see in the background here. And I was showing you before the stream the main reason it's set up like this is because I'm setting up my official like racing setup to for sim racing. So I wanted to get into all of that, but for tonight, just have a calm, chill brick background and have a nice conversation.
Sounds good. And congratulations on the move and congratulations on the upcoming wedding or 2 years. That's still upcoming.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. It's coming. It's coming. And I appreciate everybody in the chat. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, absolutely. It's a work in progress, you know, you gotta plan for it and all that stuff. So the whole point, the first task was getting back here and getting acclimated, and then we can start planning for everything coming up. But right now, you know what's on the agenda, man. Sales on the agenda. So what's first and foremost always stays at that point for me, no matter where we are. So and thank you, by the way, for showing all the work that I've done for you. I appreciate you like asking me to do the work, you know what I'm saying? It gives me an outlet to get outside of my creative like freedom because obviously there's stuff I want to make. Um, but when people ask me to make certain things for them, I have to like, all right, well, I can definitely make that, but how do I make it? So I kind of have to like learn new things sometimes, but also do things that I wouldn't normally do, which helps me because when I go to do my own thing, I'm like, oh wait, I did this for Bethany, or I did this for Sky, or I did this for Sil. So I was like, oh, I know how to do this now for me. So I appreciate everything that you've asked me to do, and everything that you asked me to do in the future. We got some cool stuff coming up too in the next couple of months. When I finally get settled in here, I'll be able to get some more stuff to Bethany. He'd have more to show you if I had gotten more stuff done. Sorry
Well,
about.
you already no problem. No problem, man. You already got a lot of great stuff done. And to be honest, I thought of showing all the intros that you did for me too, but I realized the viewers might get a little tired of that after a
Yeah,
while.
yeah. It might just be a montage of videos. You've seen all of them. If everybody's here, you've seen all the intros, and there's more to come, obviously.
What up, Grogu? And Batman and the Flash, just like the Flash movie. Same here, Josh.
Batman.
Same here.
I love that hat, by the way. I got to give me one of those.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, I got this on the DC shop. I'll be honest, this thing cost me $50. It was very expensive, but
Yeah.
and also let me just do a close up because it's I don't know if you can.
So sick. Yeah,
Okay,
it's hard to see. It's
and
hard to see. Yeah, but I know what it is. It's the 80 Batman 89 logo, right? On top of
yes,
it's supposed to be like it's spray painted like it is in the movie when he makes his own suit.
it's more obvious when you're not looking at the camera. When you see it live, it's very obvious. But unfortunately, on the camera, all you see is
The
the
black, yeah.
yeah. Doesn't help that I guess the Batman symbol's the same color as the hat, so that's why it.
Right, right. Could have done any other color, but hey, I think it looks sick. I think it looks sick.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think I could have ordered the blue hat too, but I'm like, oh, I have so many blue hats. I should do black. And
Mm-hmm. This is a blue
I
hat
see.
too. When I was getting it, I had to get a hat because this is of a brewery from where we were in Florida. And when I was getting it, I was hoping I could find a black hat, but I couldn't. It was just navy blue and like gray. I'm like, here comes another blue hat.
Yeah, I totally get that. Just trying to do a variety, and I won't don't talk about too much. Blah, blah. Don't talk too much about this now because we will talk about this later. But same reason why you did this shirt to divvy it up a little bit. So we'll get more into that later. And look, we got Zack Snyder himself in the chat with his Sin Havoc burner account.
You're on heavy with that, bro. But if it is, I say we just let him be and don't call him out. Because Zack Snyder should have a spot where he can have a burner in our chats and just come and chill. Because you know how people are, man. So if that is
Fair.
you, brewery, hell yeah, dude. It was so funny because I had to get my front windshield replaced on my car, and the brewery parking lot was the same parking lot as the Safe Light place. So I just pulled in the Safe
Oh,
Light. Me and my fiance went and got a beer, and they walked right over into the brewery with my keys. It was so sweet.
that's hilarious. I love that.
Absolutely, dude.
So let's get right into it now. So we're gonna do mini sections, and first section is I just want to kind of talk about your background, just as a DC fan, a Flash fan, and a Zack Snyder fan. We'll do all this in one. So what I want to start off with is how long have you been a DC fan for?
Boy, a very long time. I would say, man, since I was like 5 or 6. I mean, it's hard to remember. I just watched your interview with APAS, and she said as long as I can remember, and that's pretty much it. I mean, as long as I can remember, I used to like catch episodes of Batman animated series on TV as a kid, but I was watching a lot of Power Rangers. I was watching a lot of Rocket Power. So there was a lot of different influences. I didn't necessarily like have a niche where I wanted like I'm only this guy. I was a lot of things growing up, and I liked a lot of things. So for DC, it started at a very young age, and probably when I like actually walked past and walked into my first comic store and like grabbed a Flash uh because it was just a sweet artwork of Flash being chased by Reverse Flash through the Speed Force. I'm like, this looks awesome, and they're running, like, let me just pick this up. And I was hooked ever since. Like, the story of the Flash had me hooked, and then seeing him interact throughout the DC universe and all the stories growing up, just even if he would just pop up as a side character, always loved seeing that and getting my hands on those copies and reading it, even if a friend had it. I borrowed so many comic books than I've ever owned, just because my friend was a huge collector. So I was like, yo, I'm done with this one, can I have issue 3 now? And we'd meet on the bus, and boom, I give him issue 2, he give you issue 3. All right, man, give it back to me. And it was like a library, but better, just because he would just give me the story. And probably like ever since like 5 or 6 years old, and then onwards and upwards for DC. It was my first for my paint scheme for my go-kart growing up. I started racing when I was 8, and from 8 until like 10 or 11, my paint scheme was a red base with yellow numbers and yellow like sponsor, yellow name tag for the Flash, for that very reason. So yeah, I've been
Nice.
in love with the Flash for a very long time.
So that's interesting. So like the Flash is kind of what got you into DC itself then.
Yeah, yeah. Like it wasn't really because I'm a guy where, and I was a kid the same way, where if people were very loud about something and like everyone liked that, I'd be like, all right, cool, that must be something good. But let me see what else is out there, what everyone else isn't experiencing. And that's what I did. So when you go to a comic book store or you go to the toy aisle at Walmart, or back for me in the day, it was Kmart. Um, when you go in those toy aisles, I'll go past Superman. I'm going past Batman and all of his villains, and I'm seeing what else is cool there. And usually that stuff has been there for that long, for longer. It's usually less expensive. It's usually cheaper. So my parents were fine with me being a Flash fan. They're like, okay, cool. This stuff is always cheaper than the Batman and Superman stuff. So they always hooked me up, and that's where it started, man, from a very, very young age. And it was Flash because of what he went through. Not necessarily like I didn't grow up without my parents. I definitely very lucky that they're still together and I still have them and I grew up with them. But it was the fact that he was running and always trying to change something that he did. Like I always had that feeling as a kid that I wish I could, even as a kid, the mistakes that I made as a kid, go back and make, which I should give myself a break. Obviously, I'm just a little kid, but that's how I felt. I wish I was like could be like Barry Allen and go back in time and redo that moment again. Yeah, so it was the Flash that got me definitely interested in the DC. But all the DC stories, man, they ended up being great, right? Because like I said, I'd go away from the Batman and the Superman stuff, but eventually I'd be like, all right, well, let me read this. And when I would read it, I'd be like, okay, people weren't lying. Like this is good. Oh,
That's really interesting. I really love that. And that's a really interesting way that to identify with the Flash, because I always love hearing the different answers. Because like again, I'm a terrible example of this, but I love the people who kind of have the interests that deviate from the Trinity. Because with everyone, it's like including myself, the interest is always Superman, Batman, or Wonder Woman. But it's so nice to see like a mix up once in a while, to see someone who has the Flash as their favorite hero. So I really love that. And I guess what I kind of want to ask next then is, who is your favorite Flash of like all the portrayals that you've seen on? Actually, no. We'll do two questions. First, who is in the comics? Who is your favorite of the four Flashes, main Flashes?
man, that's so tough. That's so tough. Probably Wally West, just because how he redeems Barry Allen, depending on like what story, but like usually in the main continuity, even in the 52, I think the new 52, I think they still did it. Barry Allen usually sacrifices himself, and then Wally West becomes and steps in his shoes. And in Young Justice they did it differently, but
Oh
and
yeah.
usually Wally West steps in and he does a really cool job. And I like the design where you could still see he's the Flash, but you could still see his hair. And it's not like it's his Kid Flash suit, but it's the Flash colors. It's all Flash colors. I really like that design. He has like the blue lightning. That's probably my favorite because he steps into the shoes. It's a hard role to fill. But he does it for his family and for himself ultimately. So he's probably my favorite, Wally West. But obviously, Barry Allen is just he is a force of nature. He's like the first, he's the tip of the spear, as it were. I know Jay Garrick was like the first speedster, but realistically, to me, Barry Allen was the first. So I gotta respect Barry Allen too. Love me some Barry.
And I actually like Wally West a lot too, because I grew up with Wally West. That Justice League the Animated Series was Wally West, or I
Yep.
guess they made him part Barry Allen and with his backstory, but
Yeah.
he,
It was mixed.
personality was definitely. But yeah, personality was definitely Wally West. But now I kind of want to ask you, out of all the different portrayals of Flash, like all the actors, live action and voice, which one is your all-time favorite?
Man, that's so tough. Uh, because I don't get that much of them. I really do love every single one. And I can't think of the actor's name right now, but Justice League Doom. I think that might be the same actor from Justice League animated series and
Yes, it's
Justice
the
League
same.
War.
It's this for Justice League Doom. It is the same actor from Justice League the Animated Series. Only this time, instead of playing Wally West, he's playing Barry Allen.
Right, right, right. He was pretty good. I mean,
Lex
obviously,
Luthor.
his comments lately on certain
Mhm.
things involving Zack Snyder, kind of lost a little bit of respect for him because he sounds like everybody else. But let me look up at
Michael
the cast.
Rosenbaum, for those who don't know.
Michael Rosenbaum. Okay, and let me just check real quick. Christopher Gorham. He's the Barry Allen of the new animated universe. He was first introduced in Justice League War, and then obviously he was the Justice League after. And I think he might be Justice League or the Flashpoint of Apocalypse, not Apocalypse. Flashpoint Paradox. Why did I get that messed up? It's been a long journey for me the last couple of weeks from Florida to New York and moving everything. So give me a second. I should have these people memorized, but I just don't. And of course, I don't know if you know, Michael B. Jordan was Cyborg in Flashpoint Paradox.
Really?
But yes, sir. Justin Chambers was Barry Allen in that. So, there's so many different voices that have done Barry Allen, but they do him justice every time that they do them as far as voice actors go. As far as live action, um, obviously I love Ezra Miller. I still think that Grant Gustin did a good job, or I should say great job. Like he played the Flash for almost a decade, and the first like 2 to 3 seasons, 2.5, were immaculate as him as the Flash. I wish somehow, some way during those 8 years, you buff up a little bit. As a speedster, you're supposed to get bigger, like your muscles regenerate super fast, so you're supposed to be a little jacked. That's what I love about the fact they did in the Flash movie with Ezra Miller. They made him look pretty freaking jacked, and he looked jacked comparatively from Zack Snyder's Justice League. So I gotta say Ezra Miller, like he really understands the Flash on a level that I do as well. Not saying that Grant Gustin doesn't, but if there's a behind the scenes clip of Ezra talking, I think it's during Batman versus Superman behind the scenes, and he's talking about the Flash and his powers and why he likes the Flash and like why he chose the role, and uh, signed up for it. It was because the Flash has one power basically, and he uses it in multiple different ways. So he can do one thing, but out of that one thing, he uses it in so many different ways to do so many different things. Which is one of the reasons why I love the Flash too. He's like, you can use him as a utility in a story, but he's so much more than that. Because he's a human. He's a metahuman. So yeah, there's so much I can go into about the Flash, but definitely Ezra Miller is probably my favorite portrayal, and obviously Zack Snyder has a lot to do with that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, honestly, my personal favorite Flash too is Ezra Miller because Ezra is actually. I mean, that performance in the Flash movie. Say what you want about the Flash movie, but that was honestly one of Ezra Miller's best performances I've ever seen. And then the that scene that's in the thumbnail of this video in Zack Snyder's Justice League. One of
Yeah,
the
I love the Flash movie, dude. To be honest, I loved it.
and you, that's okay too. I mean, hey, I'm like you. I'm a big defender of that movie. I admit it has its problems, particularly in the third act, but that doesn't mean I don't love it. I still want to see the Muschietti cut of that film, but like I think of the Flash movie more like Studio Squad than I do Justice League, where Studio Squad is still a good movie, but there's still that you want to see the director's vision just because it's right.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with that. I'm with that. I wish we can get the Muschietti cut of the movie as well, but for what they had to deal with, and I know like not even that. Outside of what they had to deal with, I enjoyed the movie right on its own. But knowing what they had to deal with, director, actor, all the reshoots, Ezra really Miller didn't show up in any of these scenes like just like he was phoning it in, right? Like he was acting his ass off in every single scene. So that's highly commendable, but also he did the character justice. Like say what you want about the movie, but as a Flash fan, He couldn't have done a better job in that movie. And I hear you too. It's definitely like a Studio Squad realm. I hear that.
And it's so many people are so quick to want Grant Gustin in the DCEU. It's like even before any controversy was associated with Ezra Miller, there were all these people like obsessed with putting Grant Gustin in the DCEU. And I'm like, look, I like Grant Gustin. He's perfect for where he was, but he's not. I mean, some of these Flash fans talk about him like these Grant Gustin fans talk about him. He's like the second coming of Christ.
Yeah, I think part of that is just people not being able to take other people's opinions and not being able to see things like unbiasedly. Um, they're either immature or just childish, or they are children in general when they come off like that. Because um, he did a great job, but like that show wasn't great, and that I mean you can't say anything. But like I said, like I think as a person who's doing the character for 8 years, you buff up a little bit. Like, I know that's not for me, I could say the same thing. Like, that's not easy. I've been trying to buff up my whole life. But really, like when it's your job to do that, uh, you gotta you gotta make some sacrifice. You gotta do something, figure it out. It's not my job to get buff, like it was his to play a character, and that's definitely what happens. But you're so right about that. Some people just they have their opinions and they can't take others' opinions on Grant Gustin. I wanted to answer Josh's question about that. I didn't I didn't watch the whole season because I struggled with it. The first couple of episodes were actually decent, and then when it started tipping off, and to me going back to what bad Flash was, I was like, all right, I'm out. I'm out again. Like I don't need to spend time on that stuff. I don't need to watch it just because I'm a DC or I'm a Flash fan. Like that's what I don't agree with a lot of people when like, oh, if it's DC, I'll check it out. It's like, um, ah, to me, I have a limited amount of time on this earth. My time is precious. My time is the only thing that I have that's mine. So I'm not gonna spend it with just give it a chance. Like, nah, like if it doesn't irk me, if it's not tugging at my soul, I'm not gonna spend time on it because it's a waste of time at that point. Like if I want to try things out, I'll go ahead and do that and with like food or I'll try some new music out. But as far as sitting down for like a 2.5, 2 hour movie, or even like a 1 hour show, there's so much other content that I want to watch and I haven't watched. Even old stuff that people are like, oh, you haven't seen that before? Like there's so much on my watch list that to be like, oh, I'll check it out because I'm a DC fan. Like maybe I'll check a clip or two, but knowing the creators of a lot of this stuff, it's not even worth my time. It's like, nah, I've seen their portfolio before with the DC stuff, so I don't need to waste my time on any of that. And yeah, so I didn't watch a lot of the end of CW Flash, and that's not anything to do with Grant Gustin. It was just CW. That's what it is.
Yep. 100%. I was the same way. I just Flash got so unwatchable. It's like I I didn't have time, or I had better things to do. And yeah, see, even Zodwriter agrees that Ezra was definitely genuine in that movie. And yes, Guitar, why I don't
So
like.
whiny.
Well, yeah, that's why one reason why I say Grant Gustin's Flash is overrated. And if I go too much more into how I feel about Grant Gustin's Flash, we won't get to anything else. So what I kind of want to ask you now is more of a Zack Snyder fan. When did you first become a fan of the Snyderverse?
Of a Snyderverse?
Yeah.
Definitely Man of Steel. I mean, obviously that's the one that started. But Snyder in general, I was a fan of him from Dawn of the Dead.
Oh,
And I
really?
didn't even yeah, because I grew up in a time where like that was zombie movies, I guess, were just starting on their uprise in like the early 2000s and to mid 2000s, and I hated watching them. I'm like, man, these people are so dumb in these movies. Like, why wouldn't they do this? Why wouldn't they do this? Every single horror movie I watched, And then I saw Dawn of the Dead, and I was like, yo, they're being smart. Like they're making the tough decisions that you would make. Like, yes, all of this stuff makes sense. Like, and just in general, the stuff in that movie, the take that Zack Snyder had, and I guess it's a remake. I didn't know at the time it was a remake, but he modernized it in such a good way, I thought, from the old one when I went back and saw it, and it's still the way that Zack Snyder shoots stuff and just his taste. I was like, man, this is different. This is a different type of movie, zombie movie to take on the genre. This guy knows what he's doing. So I was hooked from then and looking for more Snyder stuff from that moment on. And when Man of Steel came around, it scratched me right where I itched, man. I was like, yes, Superman Returns sucked so much. And this is a modern take on the freaking superhero, like costumes, everything. When you see Krypton in the beginning of that movie, that was because I remember having conversations with my father and my mom, because I asked him like, yo, what was it like seeing Star Wars for the first time? My mom being like, it was nuts. It was the first time you saw like explosions in space and there was lasers going everywhere. Like it didn't even matter about the story going on. Like it was just such a visual display. Like we were just, wow, it was nuts. So I imagined I had that feeling at the beginning of Man of Steel when everything's just exploding and there's so much fights and action going on. I'm just like, this is definitely what they felt in the movie theaters. My parents watching Star Wars for the first time, like, and I was absolutely hooked. And then you're waiting to see Superman when you show up. He's basically like doing the Discovery Channel, like The Last Catch or whatever it is, I forget what it is. But working as a fisherman, like in the deep sea, like come on, dude. That's that's the hardest job that you could have almost in the world. And of course, Superman's doing that. Like, yes, Clark, let's do it. I was hooked, man. It was so rugged, it was so real, and it was like to say real is the most realistic take on Superman that I've ever seen. Not just like in an animated, just ever. Just ever. I was so blown away. I was like, yo, he's got the army in this. Like they would totally react that way too, because at the time my brother was in the army. So I was like, yo, this is crazy. And it was just so cool, all of the intricacies within that movie. And my first thought watching it the whole time was like, bro, I want to see him do the Flash so bad. Like if he can do this with Superman, what can he do with all of the other characters? Like his take and his story is so in depth and so real. Like, take it away, Zack Snyder. So when they gave him the reins, I was like, yes, this is exactly what we need. DC's gonna go to a different echelon of like storytelling of superheroes in general and how they exist in our world today, and how they can exist. It's like almost like back in the day when the Rocky movies were coming out. It was almost like Rocky Balboa was a real guy. They made a freaking statue of him in Philadelphia. I was so ready for it. Then BVS came out, and I thought the theatrical cut was great. Hearing other people's takes on it though, I was like, what the well, this is like the type of thing where all the Batman and Superman fans didn't like this movie, but the Flash fan loved it, right? Like, that's what it felt like to me. I not know now meeting everybody who's a Snyder fan. Obviously, I know I was wrong in that, but like to me, it was like, oh, all the people who are normal people and like all the normal shit, and I get hooked on the fad and get hooked on the trend. Here they go. Not liking this movie for whatever reason, and literally a lot of them it was at the Martha scene, like, oh, why did that keep
Not that
Batman
hard
from
to get.
right, I got it the first time, so and I remember seeing it with somebody and explaining it to them right after the movie, and as soon as I did, they're like, oh, yo, I wish you had told me that during the movie because now everything makes so much more sense. I'm like, yeah,
Not that hard to
but that's
get.
what it is,
So
right? Uh, I'm hyped too to rewatch it, man. But
Same
yeah,
here.
it's that take, and then BVS comes, right, and then we see the glimpse that we see of Cyborg, of Aquaman, of the Flash, and just that one scene of the Flash. I'm like, why does he look like a hobo? What the heck? And then all of a sudden, chill, knocks a dude out, chill, back to his milk, and all the lightning and sparks going off, and the freaking light falls down. Like, oh, this is young Flash doesn't really know how to control his powers, but so sick, so sick. And I was just ready. I was so ready for Justice League, dude. Once I saw that part of the movie in BVS in the movie theater, like the rest of the movie didn't really matter to me. I was like, all right, cool. When's this movie end so we can go to the Justice League? Like, how do they set up the Justice League? How do they set up the Justice League? And then Superman dies, and I'm like, what the? How do they set up the they're gonna have to bring him back, right? They're gonna have to bring him back for sure. That's what they're gonna do
Oh
with
yeah,
Justice League, I
definitely.
guess. And that's what that's the story of Justice League. And it ends with that monologue from Bruce Wayne, from Ben Affleck, saying that they gotta join people together, and then you get the last scene of Arkham Asylum and all that. So I was like, okay, this is gonna be a sweet freaking lead up. And Zack Snyder had me at that point in time already from Man of Steel. But I remember watching Guardians of Gahul, the Owl movie too, in the middle of that. Like, I was like, Zack Snyder can't miss. That's how I felt with watching all of those movies. Like, he just hits it. And then I remember going to the movie theater, and I think already having pre-ordered the Ultimate Edition of BVS, like on digital. I think I already had that pre-ordered before I went to the movies, which is I didn't get it at the time. Like, I was so young, I didn't like realize what was going on, like the sabotaging of that. Really, like,
Yep, same here.
I didn't realize that. I was like, oh, cool. I get to have the Ultimate Edition and go to the movies. And then when I come back, I'll have the Ultimate Edition. Not realizing that was WB handicapping the theater sales. But I was hyped up at that point in time. And it wasn't really until Justice League when I was like, something's going on that's like nefarious. And I don't like that, obviously. And then I had to do my own research, because at that point in like 2017, I was out of college and I was working full time, so I had the time to like do my own research. And in college, in my studies after high school, like, I always question. I found like enlightenment, which I say, but a higher sense of like questioning everything and just doing your own research so that you can form your own opinions. Like, I really had a hard time with that with other people, and not understanding like why other people don't think the way that I do. And I learned through taking a bunch of classes in like the end of high school and college and stuff, that I just thought differently because I was able to think for myself. And doing so, I had you got to continue doing that the older you get. If you don't keep learning, to me, it's like, you stop using your brain ultimately, and then that's when you're gonna fail, get Alzheimer's. That's what I think. You stop working your brain out as a muscle, that's when it's gonna just go away on you. So I had nothing else to learn about. I had nothing else to like research and spend my time on. I was working full time. I had an apartment. I wasn't with anybody. I was single. So I went deep, and got into the Snyder Cut, released the Snyder Cut movement, and found out a lot, obviously, about what happened to Zack Snyder, and what happened to our movie, what happened to our beloved characters. And it just made me it added more fuel to the fire, like everything that I found out, and made me more of a fan. Actually, made me want to support him more, because so many people just throw dirt on him, and that's such an injustice to me, because he didn't deserve it, one. And it wasn't like a lot of the criticisms that I see for Zack Snyder, even still today, from that moment, it was a lot of stuff that wasn't true and it was just outlandish. Like, um, some of the thing I don't want to repeat some of the things that like people have said about his movies or his style, but it's like, wow. Um, I must also really be as hated as a person because he scratches me right where I itch in every single like thing that he does. So you must also hate me a lot as a person because I enjoy his stuff so much. And I know that's not the case. I know I can go about in my circle, in my reality, my day to day, and people are nice to me everywhere I go, and I can be nice to them, right? And I'm a positive person everywhere I go. So I know that that's not true. And what I see from Zack, what I hear people talking about Zack, a lot of things that are written about him are just, are a fallacy. So it was either like sit and watch it happen or use the knowledge that I've gained uh, for good and not just sit on knowledge that I know and just not just have these conversations with my friends. That's all fine, but it doesn't get you anywhere at the end of the day. And it doesn't accomplish anything at the end of the day. If you're not doing it to a louder audience, to a bigger audience. So that's when I kind of like was searching people out, like who else is talking about this online, and where can I find like-minded people, you know?
Yeah, I just kind of switched to the next topic because you seem to segue us perfectly there. So I'm just like, let's just get right to it then. So I guess that you kind of answered my next question then. So that's kind of how you found SylNation then. You found it because you were looking for the like-minded people, such as SylNation, people like Syl Abdul, myself, Zodrider, Skywalker, Leon, El Necron, people who had that same viewpoint. I guess what was it like first discovering Syl Abdul's channel and like seeing this network of like-minded people?
Oh man, it was great. At the time, I was working nights, I believe, and I needed content. I was able to listen to like podcasts and stuff while I was working, so I needed content to listen to. But I also wanted to know more about what was going on in the Hollywood world. Stuff dealing with Zack, like every day there was new hints coming out, right? New stuff coming out about Zack, new stuff coming out about the Snyder cut and the possibilities of it being announced. So I was so hooked on like, oh, what's the new news? What's the new news? And Syl had all of it, and he also had the conversation of and the like-minded mindset of me where I was like, man, he's saying all the things that I think. And he's kind of reacting the same way that I would to a lot of the naysayers or people who have, differing opinions. Not that like try to shut everyone down, but when you hear the same thing over and over again, um, people deserve a little bit of a clap back every once in a while because it's like, come on now, you can't be that stupid. But
Nope, you
it
can.
was
Not you,
some
but
people can, but no, it was great. It was great. Finding Syl and thankfully my algorithm, let me find him because a lot of the other things, or people, I should say, content creators that were on YouTube talking about it were just, I don't know. I have this weird thing where I can tell if someone's a good person or not just by how they react. Even on a stream, you can watch somebody for like 4 to 6 hours, whatever. Watch a couple of streams, and you can tell if they're a good person or not, just like their conversation and how they react to certain things throughout the stream. So I could tell that a lot of these content creators weren't genuine people and were just like fake. And I couldn't be behind that, right? I didn't want to support that. I didn't want to listen to it. Like I said, my time is valuable. I'm not gonna waste my time just because it's the only person that I know talking about Snyder, talking about the Snyder cut. I'm not gonna just be like, all right, I'm gonna listen to it now. No, I'm gonna find somebody else who or try to find somebody else, and luckily I did. So I couldn't have been more lucky that Syl was out there and still is out there talking about Snyder. Because thankfully, when I found Syl, he already had a community that was on the up and up, and I kind of slid myself right into the chat. And I always try to. I'm a guy who likes to have a good time. I always say copy Crystalia, and say I want to have a silly goose time, but I really am that way. I always try to joke. That's kind of why the Flash. I love the Flash a lot too. You know, whether it's Barry or Wally, because I've gone through a lot of things, and my family has a dark humor. Even in situations where you shouldn't be joking, here comes a joke from somebody. So I really, you know, found myself at home in Sill's chat trying to make somebody laugh. If I wasn't making the chat laugh, trying to make Sill laugh. And yeah, I just gotta be thankful that he was out there, and that everyone who's still in this chat might watch this video, still a part of SylNation, that they were a part of it then, because they really welcomed me, and you know, they made me like, oh, you're a part of this now, and it was great, man. I couldn't be more grateful for that opportunity, because it opened up us to that, what you have down there, the cool table and the Syndicate network, man.
Yeah, and it's been really great having you in the community. You brought up all this positivity. You brought redemption to the name Austin. I won't get too far into that, but let's just say, people, there's a reason why he was named the Good Austin. There was a reason for that. I'll just leave it at that. But anyway, I guess so. This kind of led you into the cool table. Looks like he has some tech issues. So, but yeah, I love. But yeah, I really love what Austin said here. It's just that's why I love Soul Nations. It just we are like-minded people, and we think for ourselves. We don't have. I mean, look at,
I'm
like, for
sorry, buddy. Can
example.
you ask me that again? I just missed my Bluetooth is going out, so I'm trying to switch over right now.
Oh, I was just monologuing while I wait for you to come back, just saying how we are all not that we're not a hive mind. We think for ourselves, and even though it's still nation, we all have one goal. There's still moments we disagree on, but we still love each other, like the Flash movie. Some of us
Right.
love it, some of us hate it, some of us are in between. But that's what makes our community great, is that we think for ourselves and we don't go with the crowd. And I guess what this kind of leads me to next is, how did the cool table end up forming exactly?
You got to thank Skywalker for that. It really was just out of nowhere. I mean, I think the restore was kind of going on, and Mikey and Syl were talking about, I believe that's when the merger happened, and Zaslav took
Yeah.
over, and kind of things were working their way where Snyder was going to come back, and we're going to get the story finished at WBD around that time.
Yep.
And for whatever reason, Sky he literally just added a group chat together. I think I did an interview with Zod on Zod. Shout out to Zod, by the way, on his channel, late night interview with him. And after that, Sky got this idea that he wanted, like, the four of us to work together, to do whatever, just work together as content creators, because you know, Leon was helping him out, backing him up with the Man of Steel cutlery that was going on in Pasadena, and that conversation kind of brought them together as friends. Necron is Necron; he's the Dark Lord, and you love him for everything that he does and everything that he says. So he just enjoyed him as a content creator, as a friend, and then he saw, you know, my conversation with Zod, and I think we were together on Sill's stream on an open panel one time as well. And after that, he just started a group chat. I was like, hey man, or hey guys, like, I want to put this, like, group together of the four of us where we do content together and we collab together, and we do whatever. And it's kind of morphed around to where uh you know, Sky is like the general, because he started it all. So that's like, all right, man, what do you got, an idea? Let's do it. And then we all play our part however we can. Like he'll have an idea, and then we'll just, all right, man, I can do this. And then Necron be like, all right, I'll do this. And then Leon be like, all right, I got this. If he doesn't come with us, be like, all right, I think you guys can do these things, and then go. Sometimes we do that, but it just was a collaborative effort. I don't know. He just saw us on stream and in the community and was like, I got to put together a group, people who can get stuff done and will get stuff done and not just talk about it. And then the cool table form, man. And it's been a great union ever since, man. It's been one of the best teams I've ever been on, man.
I really love the chemistry that you four have when you do streams together. It's like you all have like different personalities, but they really just mesh well together. And it's just I love watching the cool table streams. I love watching all your different channels, your different shows, and you do a lot of creative projects together, and we'll get more to that in those different sections. But now I kind of want to ask you how this kind of eventually formed an additional network, right? The Syndicate network. How did that form exactly, and what is it?
So that's this SylNation, Cool Table, the Mikey verse all together. That's the Syndicate network. And Mikey Sutton is really the one who kind of was the, not, I wouldn't say the catalyst to that, but was the person who brought us all together, because we obviously, the Cool Table was together, the four of us, and Mikey was working with Syl, collabing with him for many years, and then he wanted to start working with Sky, and started working with Sky, and Sky's producer was me. So all the stuff that they were doing on Sky's channel was going through me, and I still have the group chat open between me, Sky, and Mikey, and that's where we would just collab. Boom, put whatever, and usually it was like a title and a picture for a thumbnail from Mikey. Like, this is what tonight's show is. Boom, and he'd go through like the topics that he wanted to do, and we were collabing kind of already. Like Mikey would collab, and sometimes Sky would come on Syl's channel, Syl would come on Sky's channel. Me and Syl were collabing with the Good Countdown and creating SylNation Sports Network together, which I was trying to coin, but before it was even a thing. But so we were all collabing together already, and Leon kind of made the title for the six of us, I guess, which is the Syndicate Network. And obviously, since it's SylNation, Cool Table, Mikey verse, it's not just the six of us. Like, there's many others, collaborators who are part of that as well. But that was like the core of how it came together. And then it was meant to be not just the six of us. It was meant to include everybody. So that's how the Syndicate network formed.
And this kind of segues us to our next topic a little bit, and this one's gonna get a little emotional. But to be honest, I felt it was important to include this topic because Mikey Sutton was a very important part of this whole network, and as I don't know, and if as I said in the last stream, I'm relaunching this series for Mikey Sutton himself because he believed in my interviewing skills, and the best way I thought I could honor him was to continue doing these interviews, get even better at my interviews, and make Mikey Sutton proud from whatever form of afterlife does not get people angry in the chat. So we'll just say ambiguous afterlife is what we'll call it.
Facts, dude. Whatever you guys believe in, we believe in too.
So I guess what was your relationship like with Mikey Sutton?
Oh man, he was like my mentor in a lot of ways. And we had so much planned. It is a tough subject, but I love the guy. I still do. The only reason I got on Facebook was to have DMs with Mikey Sutton. That's the only reason, to be his friend. Like, you guys probably don't see me on there anymore. Is because I like literally was on there to talk to Mikey. And because that's where he was at. So I did that to get a hold of him, to be in contact with him. And I had the fortune of like being becoming really close with him and having conversations that, are going to remain between me and him, which is cool that I can say that, I guess. You live to a certain point where you're like, nah, that's just between me and Mikey. And we were going to do some things together, man. He was going to make his own studio, and there was a lot on the horizon, and and I told him, I was able to be very honest with Mikey, about things, and um, he was very honest with me because as well. So like I saw a side of Mikey that not a lot of people see. I'm sure Syl and Sky saw that side as well, and he's just a very special person. He made you feel important and made you feel like, oh, all that I have accomplished, you could do as well. And that's kind of why I always like take the things that he said to me. I can remember them, thankfully, and I try to, everything that I do, I try to like, all right, well, yeah, would Mikey be like that sick, or would Mikey think that's cool? And even like when I have doubts in myself, excuse me, that's a lot of times when I think about Mikey, because I'm like, man, Mikey would tell me I'm stupid right now for even doubting myself. Like Mikey would tell me, like go do the thing. Yes, make the thing. Because if you don't make it, then you never know. That's first and foremost. But because he accomplished his dreams, and that made it so he's like, yo, look at me, and you're friends with me. Like we're not different. So it was cool that someone in his position could be so personable, and could make you feel inspired, right? That was one of like Mikey's superpowers, was inspiration and motivation, getting you hyped up. And you know I have like nothing but things to say about him, and I never will. So whenever I do see people disparaging his name, it does make me very, very angry. I will say that first and foremost, but to everybody else in the chat who feels that way too, like you can't respond because it just makes them know that like, okay, well now I can get him to respond to this. Um, we know who Mikey is and who he was. That's who he always will be to us, and we just got to take the lessons that we've learned from him. His importance is of utmost importance, like of everything we do. When we get Sell through the finish line and it actually happens, like it's gonna be due to Mikey Sutton, because he's what really got this off the ground. Like there can't be any underestimation on like what he did motivating us at the beginning. Like, yeah, we did a lot of the work, and Sky did a lot of the work um getting this noticed. But it was a lot of like, yo, Mikey was like, yo, go do that thing. Like, yeah, you guys should be doing that. No, don't listen to what they're saying. Like, this is what I heard. And he would keep motivating us to continue forward. So even though we don't have that inside ear necessarily anymore, like we had with Mikey, we know that we're on the right path. And it's because of Mikey guiding us, and all the things that he taught us before he left us, that we are here. So yeah, Mikey Sutton's importance is of utmost. That's why I still have V for E, and why I came up with that Mikey verse forever. I know everyone was saying it, but I had to, yeah, hashtag it, MV for E. Um, that's why I still have it in my Twitter name, and you can check all of our streams too for cartoons and cereal. Like Mikey Sutton's GoFundMe is still in every single one of our descriptions. Like we think about him every day, man. So yeah, his importance is up there, and as far as everyone's importance in what we do. But yeah, he definitely pushed me to strive for my dreams. So uh everyone has in my life, I guess, but it's just another reminder, like, yeah, you can do what you want to do, because I did it. So yeah, I gotta say thanks to Mikey all the time. His importance is huge, dude.
Very emotional. It's But it's important to have these conversations because Mikey was an important part of our life. He was an important part of our lives, and we wouldn't know each other if it wasn't for Mikey Sutton. So it's important to keep honoring him, keep fighting for him, keep fighting for what he believed in because he believed in Sell. He was a huge part of that campaign, and he kept the hope alive. So
Mhm.
the the best thing we can do is honor him. And to be quite honest with you, Austin, if we were to stop doing Cell, I can guarantee you Mikey's ghost would come and he would personally haunt us all if we stopped fighting for it.
Dude,
So
yeah, he would, and I get signs from him all the time, and signs from some of my other guardian angels. Because when Mikey passed, it was like 5 days before my grandmother passed, who I'm living in her house now. So that they're pretty tied tightly to my heart. Both of them. Obviously, my grandmother were a bigger, way bigger part of my life. But just because of when it happened, it was very close, very tough time. But as you said, if we didn't continue forging ahead and doing what we do, Mikey would smack us upside the head if he could. He definitely would. So we got to continue on, and we gotta also, as you said, he kept hope alive with still like a lot of what Mikey got as information and the things he wrote about pushed us forward during some of the darkest times, during the Hamada burgers and all that, all the bourbon days and bourbon nights. Like Mikey was there every night for every single one of those through some of like the toughest times of our lives, entertainment wise, and like really, and during the country during COVID and all that. Mikey was there through all that. So yeah, man, his importance cannot be underestimated in any way, shape, or form, and he's still with us every single day, man.
well said. Well said. And Mikey Sun will definitely kind of come up in some of these other topics coming up. But before I move on to the next topic, I just gotta do a quick wardrobe change. You'll understand why.
He's got the first edition shirts, which I don't know where mine is. I don't know where my second edition shirt is either, which he might be grabbing right now. But my closet is a pigsty. So I'm not turning the camera that way, and I will find it eventually. Wardrobe change. Oh, Green Bay. It's just the hat.
Just the hat. I'm not that. I could have gone to my closet and gotten my Packers shirt on, but I am way too lazy walk walk all the way to the closet to get the I just got my notes here, but yeah, so I wanted to talk about the SylNation Sports Network, but before we get into the SylNation Sports Network, I kind of want to get just your overall background in sports. And so there'll be kind of some similar questions to the DC background and another background. There'll be some similar topics. Well, more on that to come. But I guess right now, how long have you been a sports fan for?
Oh man, that's tough. Ever since I've been alive, I think I grew up in the '90s. I was a kid during the '90s, so huge Michael Jordan fan, and he was taking the world by storm. But also, I grew up in a racing family, so those were prime time Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt days in NASCAR. So, I mean, since day one, man, I had a basketball in my hand and or a football in my hand or like a race car that I was running around on the ground, and I was always going to the track with my parents because I had friends that raced, and my grandfather used to be a mechanic himself, so I like a part of a racing mechanic, I should say. So yeah, since day one, I should say I've always been a sports fan.
And did you do any sports in high school?
Yes, I did basketball and I did cross country. I used to play football, but in middle school, I transitioned over to cross country because I was telling Josh this the other a month or so ago. Um, I was running. All I was doing in football was running, running, running. We had a bad coach didn't practice any skills, just got mad at how bad my team was, the rest of my team, and out of shape. So just had us run laps all the time. I still have this burned in my memory, running laps around the 8th grade team that was practicing. And I was running laps around my team. I could see the rest of my team on the other side of the field as we were running. I'm like, this is so stupid. Why am I running in full football pads? So mad about it. I would go home and get picked up in the same car that my brother was in. My brother was 2 years older than I was, and he was running cross country. The whole way home, I was probably bitching and moaning about it. And he was, I remember distinctly this conversation in the backseat of my mom's car. He looked over at me. He's like, dude, why don't you just come do cross country? That's all we do is run anyways. And we actually win. We don't suck like you guys. And I was like, oh, man. That's tough love from your older brother. But when he said that, it clicked. And the next season in 8th grade, I finished out the season for football. And then the next season, the next year for 8th grade, I went in a 7th grade. I did outdoor track before, football. Like, let me see if I like running. I liked it. It was fun. So I'm like, let's try this cross country thing that my brother's so hyped up about. And I was hooked. I was hooked from day one. So I ran cross country all through high school, and I never gave up basketball either. I played basketball on a team. I played up until my junior year, but then I switched over to indoor because I didn't like the coach. I got a real problem with authority. It's been following me all through my life. So if I don't get along with you, I don't have to deal with your stuff. I'll just get off the team. That was my theory on that. So, but I didn't stop playing a sport. I went on and I would do something else. So even though I didn't do basketball, I went and did indoor track. And then we had a thing called AAU basketball, which I think a lot of people know what that is. But it's basically like you pay to be on a team, and there's like a league that you're a part of. You go to tournaments and play on this team. And I was playing with kids that were a little bit younger than me because of how young I was in my age group. I just fit on their team, and we would go all around the Northeast, playing in Massachusetts, Virginia, New Hampshire, and go play different basketball tournaments all around the Northeast. So it was a lot of fun, and that was probably where going from basketball to cross country, those two different groups were so different. And having to be like accepted in both of those groups definitely probably lended to my personality today, because I feel I can kind of go anywhere and find my niche in all the groups, I guess.
I just really love what really stuck out to me in that though was cross country out of everything. For your favorite hero is the Flash, and you just happened to do cross country.
And let me
So
tell you, man, when I started to run cross country, there was the worst thing knowing all the stories about the Flash. Uh, and I did a wardrobe change for you real quick because I know what's coming up. But I would hate it because I'm like, man, if I was just Barry or Wally right now, I could just go to the end of the race and wait there, and it wouldn't be so hard. Or I could just act like this was hard and it'd really be easy, and this would be me running slow if I was an actual speedster. Yeah, man, it was tough, but it was great. It added to like um my grandmother always told me, like, you see signs uh throughout your life, and you either pay attention to them or you don't. And usually those signs, if you can see them and you're like, whoa, that's kind of weird, those signs mean you are exactly where you're supposed to be. And when I found cross country, and I was already loved the Flash, I was like, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be here. This is exactly where I need to be. So yeah, it went hand in hand. It was perfect. But I will tell you, I wish I was Barry Allen and Wally West every single one of those races I was in, man.
yeah, but that'd be cheating if you were then.
I know, but still, I don't care. It was so hard, man. One of the hardest things you ever do is be on a cross country team and being competitive. Like the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
I just thought of The Incredibles. That's what you were just telling me. Like, I don't know if you remember in The Incredibles how Dash had to like purposely get in second place just so he wouldn't be suspicious of his powers. And I'm like, that's what you would basically have to do then if you were Barry Allen or Wally
Oh
West. You'd
man,
have to like slightly slow down and like get second or third place just so that you're
I would
not.
Podium Austin, bro. Would have been second or third every time. Every once in a while, I get a win, but Podium Austin, that was gonna be my nickname, bro.
I like it. Guys. Let's hashtag this. Let's get some Podium Austin hashtags in the chat going. Let's go.
That's perfect. That's perfect for my racing career coming up too. All I want are podiums, anyways.
Okay, guys, you heard it. Podium Austin. That's who you are now. So now I know that especially since you really kind of started SylNation Sports Network with NFL, and we'll get into that. Like, how long have you been with a fan of the NFL?
See, that's another one. It's like it's tough. I remember watching the Giants with my dad growing up because that was like the only team that was on TV, the only team that we could get. And then I remember we purposely got because where we were living in the country, we couldn't get cable, but we got like Dish Network back in the day specifically so we could watch different NFL games. My dad was a Colts fan, so I like the Giants. I like the coaching of the Giants in the late '90s, and I didn't have a team though. I was like, these guys are kind of falling off a little bit. This isn't really my team. And then one game, I remember it clear as day as a kid. My dad was, like I said, a Colts fan, and this was early Peyton Manning days. And I remember my dad just yelling at the TV. It's like just going off, and I thought it was hilarious because you never saw my dad so mad. I'm just laughing up and giggling. I remember not being able to breathe because I was laughing so hard. And I'm like, finally, I'm like, who are they playing? Who are they playing right now? And it was the Patriots. I'm like, that is my team. That is my team 100%. If I can get this reaction out of my dad every time the Colts play the Patriots, hell yes. This is my team. So shout out to the chat, Podium Austin. You guys are hilarious. Nah, it's still a good Austin. I gotta be good. And podium every once in a while. But yeah, man, it was that's exactly when I probably became a huge NFL fan was when I fell in love with the Patriots and fell in love with watching my dad get so mad. If he ever sees this, he'd be like, man, I can't believe that. But yeah, that's what it was, man. It was so funny to see him just lose a gasket because of Peyton Manning. I just became a ultimate fan. And then once I became like more knowledgeable about the sport, it's enticing. Like the perfect pass or the perfect play and trying to outsmart your opponent, having cognitive speed that is unmatched. Like again, Barry Allen. If Barry Allen was a freaking football player, not even fair, because he could think faster than you can move. So he's already in a different spot before you get there. It would be crazy. But being able to see efficiency like I saw and perfection like I saw from the Patriots, I hadn't seen that since I was a little kid. I say a little kid, but I guess younger than I was when I was in the '90s watching the Bulls and watching Michael Jordan. And I'm like, man, I haven't seen this type of professionalism and dedication in a while, and I enjoy that. Like I think that's what I'm so drawn to is people who are passionate and like uber passionate. Like I really believe in the power of the mind, and some people in who do different things in sports, um they like they use their mind, like, and then from running, you had to use your mind a lot of times. Like, man, I feel like my muscles are about to rip right now, but mind over body, like, let's keep going, let's keep pushing, let's keep going. Like, you're talking to yourself the whole time. At least I was as a runner for cross country. It's a 5K. It's 3.125 miles or whatever it is. That's a long time. That's almost, depending on how fast you are, that could be anywhere from 16 to 19 minutes running for your life, basically up and down hills, over obstacles, around turns, in the cold. So like having gone through that as a cross country runner, when I could see that type of heart and dedication and will and like power of will, um, I really gravitate towards that. And so many people who are football players have that. You'll see these guys bleeding all over the place, like sweating, and they're up for the next play. Like that always, I admired that. It was like the real day gladiators. So that really drew me into the NFL. And I was already a racing fan, so um, that the NFL kind of came second to racing because I was a big NASCAR fan, first and foremost. And whenever everyone was like, "Are these guys athletes?" I'm like, "Have you ever driven a car at 200 miles an hour and tell me you're a freaking athlete for 3 hours long?" And like, I hate that conversation. So it was actually NASCAR and then NFL for me growing up.
Oh, really? So I guess so. My God, I cannot talk today. So NASCAR is your all time favorite. Like, I guess you do a lot of. You're doing a virtual NASCAR, right? The SellZSJL race cars. So, and then
Yeah,
as
yeah.
you showed me backstage, you got that gaming, you got that race car system getting set up.
Yes, sir. So I'm getting back into that because as I said, growing up, that was the one too. But then um, when high school came around and I was doing all of that running, I was actually, in a lot of extracurriculars as far as like academics as well, and trying to do stuff, community work and all that, make my college resume look good. I had to do all that stuff in high school, and unfortunately, I didn't have the time for racing, and my family didn't have the money anymore because of where the economy was and how expensive everything was getting for racing. Me and my brother were racing, so it wasn't just one car, a set of tires. Well, you got to get to the track. You got to have a truck and a trailer for that. When you get there, you have to pay for pit pass parking. You have to pay for to race that night for two different drivers, and that's pit passes for each of us on top of those driving, passes, and then you have to pay for fuel all throughout the night. And we're using ethanol or methanol, I think it is. But it's a gallon that you get in a gallon, and at the time it was $20 for a gallon. So I don't even know where it is now. But and you're going through that, if not two of those, for one car in a night. Not to mention you're working on your motor and all of that. Like, it's so expensive to race. The fact that we got in as deep as we were and got as good as we were is just a big testament to my father and my mom making the sacrifices that they did so we could have the things that we did growing up. But once I got away from that, I got away from watching the sport too, which I'm mad about because so many great things happened the last like decade. I didn't watch like the last like 8 years of Dale Jr.'s career just because I kind of got enveloped. I was a teenager, man. Like I was in so many other stuff and chasing girls all around the place, like just being an idiot. So I really fell
Let your
away.
fiance see that.
I I fell away from NASCAR, but I was still a big sports fan. Watch ESPN every day, and the biggest sport in America is NFL. So the popularity of NASCAR kind of fell away, and unfortunately, my eyes fell away from it too. But I'd never stopped loving NASCAR that whole time. I'm still a big fan of the drivers, of everything that goes on in the sport. So getting enveloped in it now, it's kind of like relearning the sport, getting introduced to it because a lot has changed as well. There's a lot of different technologies that's changed in the sport in the last 10 years too. So I got to be a massive Tom Brady fan instead. And it was hard to be because, like I said, I'd like to go deep. I like to go into and be very passionate about things. So I was a huge Tom Brady fan, and Zack Snyder fan, I guess. And I couldn't be a massive fan of something else as well at the same time. And it's hard for me to just dip my toe into things and just, keep up pace with everything when I'm so on top of what Tom Brady was doing and what's going on in Zack Snyder's world. And then, like I said, my own personal life, job, family, girls, friends, all of that going on at the same time in my late teens, early 20s. So there's a lot going on and not a lot of me to go around, I guess. And but I'm just glad now, with getting back into the racing, um, obviously my interest in the sport is picked up too, but the interest, the reinterest and reinvigoration into the sport was like, oh, this is what I'm missing, turning 30, and looking at your life like, what am I doing and what can I do? How can I get better? How can the next 10 years be better when I'm 40? If you're that type of person that looks at those things, I was on the cusp of turning 30 and feeling like I was, even with all the things that I'm so grateful to be a part of and have, still felt like I was missing something and a calling that I wasn't putting myself into. And when I started finding racing again, it just felt like, oh, it was just a big aha moment. Like, this is what it is. And this is where it started in New York, in the upstate, and thankfully, was able to, form relationships with people back then, and they're hometown heroes, so they're still here. And I, in my first week of being home, already had a conversation with a guy who races, and I used to race against him as a kid. So, hoping that this year, and I might, unfortunately, the channel and my time might go away from it, but if I can get time working on a real race car and going to the pits and stuff, and even just being on a pit crew, I'm gonna do that because that's where it starts. I know that's where it starts. And I told him already. He knows I used to race too, and I told him what I was doing, and I was like, hey, anybody do some hot laps and break those cars in for you, let me know. And he's got my number, so I'm hoping that I get some opportunities this year to get back to the track, and get my hands dirty and get back into it because it is such a calling for me. Um, I gotta say thank you to my brother for that too, because if it wasn't for him, I would have never raced. I would have never found that. Like, it's because of him that my family started racing again. My grandfather is in the Hall of Fame of the local racetrack where we're at. And after, like, he had a driver, a car that he built, his driver passed away, and after that happened, he kind of got out of the sport, got out of NASCAR. And it wasn't until my brother was walking through a mall show, and they had a bunch of go-karts on display of the local track, and they're like, oh, these are all the carts, all the racers that are going to race this season. And my brother just looked at my dad and was like, I don't want to do that. And my dad was like, okay, we'll figure it out. And that's how it all started. And because he did that, jealous little brother syndrome, I was like, I want to do it too. Um, and thankfully, my dad was like, all right, well, I guess I got to get him another car and you can have his old one. So I got my brother's old car, and I was hooked, man. I was hooked. If back in the day, we didn't have walkie talkies, we didn't have recordings of ourselves, which I'm very lucky for, because as a little kid, I would get out all my swear words behind the seat of that racing wheel, like, helmet on, motor right next to you, flying around a racetrack. Nobody can hear nothing you're saying, dude. So I was just screaming, dude. And me and my fiance are gonna be rewatching some of my old go-kart races because thankfully we had them taped. But my amazing mother was recording them on a handheld video, no tripod. Luckily we had the camera. All right. And sometimes I would do things on the track. That's why, like, I kind of race like Dale Earnhardt. That's why I was a big fan of him too. Just, as a racer, you're not really supposed to pass on the outside. You're always supposed to try and get on the inside. It's the easiest way to pass. But if I'm faster than you, I'm going to find my way around you one way or another. So a lot of times I'll go on the outside, maybe drive off the track on accident. and or get into an accident. And there's a lot of footage where my mom's holding the camera like this, and she's watching the race. Something would happen, and she'd be like, "Oh my god, what the heck's going on?" All you're seeing in the video is just the ground the whole time. Like, I remember so many moments where I'd be like, "Oh, I can't wait to watch that back," because I wanted that must have looked sick. Like whatever happened, I flipped one time. I was like, that must have looked awesome. And go to watch the replay back on our family video, and it's just dirt. I'm like, oh man, come on. But yeah, that was where it started, and not having that, um, you don't realize how much you missed it. In Florida, I went to a bunch of local racetracks down there, and I loved it, man. I love the smells and everything, but I missed it. I missed it so much. So I'm glad that I'm getting back into it now, and I hope I get that opportunity to go to the actual track. And DC Talk says, "Did you watch the NASCAR Racers animated series when I was growing up?" I probably did. It's not ringing a bell off the bat. There's so much other stuff that I watched as a kid, and I was actually lucky enough to be able to watch the races. And I would watch the practice, I would watch qualifying, I would watch they had Speed Channel was a thing back in the day, and they would do stories and like inside looks at the drivers. I would watch that all the time. Sounds like a place for your passion to be fully explored. Hey man, thank you. I hope it does too, man. But I'm just getting back into it now, and getting as close to I can to a real racing. Um, so when I do get the opportunity, I don't feel like I'm not necessarily ready for it. Because I'm not stupid. I know I haven't raced in years. And I know it's different. And you can drive your own car all you want, but being behind the seat of a race car is very different. And knowing things about the race car as well, because you can't be a good driver unless you're able to effectively communicate with like whoever you're talking to. For me, it was my dad. I wasn't talking to him in my headset because I didn't have one. It would be after the race, and you got to be able to effectively communicate what's going on with your race car so you can change it. And I don't know enough about race cars, to be honest, or whatever I'm racing, whether it be a street stock, a pro stock, a modified, whatever it may be. I don't know enough, and I'm not gonna say that I do, because there's a lot of money in this stuff, man. There's a lot of danger in this stuff as well. Um, and I guess that's why it's so exciting, because you're kind of on the edge the whole time. But I'll tell you, man, there's nothing more satisfying than just humming around a racetrack at full song, just hitting your line, and just having full command of what you want to do. It's so exhilarating, and there's nothing better for me.
I love that. That's what I love. It's like, it's a unique interest because we don't all have like with sports, at least in America, the big interest is either NFL or baseball. But what I love about this is that you have, like the Flash, you have an interest that's not necessarily the most popular one, but it's the interest to you, and I love hearing about other people's passions, even if I'm not into it myself. But I love hearing, because that's what makes us all great as a community. Is that we all, like SylNation, we all have the common interest of DC, Zack Snyder, but we all have our different interests as well. And before I transition us to our next topic, I do want to kind of clarify because it's on my thumbnail. So you said Patriots before, and Tom Brady was on the Patriots. The my God, I cannot talk. The Patriots. When he moved to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, did you did you convert with Tom Brady, or did you wait till you moved to Tampa to convert to Buccaneers?
Oh yeah, no, I converted with Tom Brady before I moved. And he was doing partially the reason why I wanted to move down there. Because I honestly didn't think he was gonna retire. I think he could still be playing now. And if he was still playing, who knows? Maybe I would still be down there. I know my fiance would fight with me about that. But I he really if you don't live or haven't lived in an area around Tom Brady, you don't know the impact that he has on the area. But being in the New England area for the entire time he was in the area, he just has an impact on the businesses, on the overall like well-being of the area. It's crazy how that is and how he has that effect. But look at Las Vegas right now. Everyone has nothing but good things to say about Las Vegas. That's where Tom Brady is. And that's where he's doing work. I don't know, like everyone, you can say what you want about me and loving Tom Brady, but I've been there. I've been here. And I've been around it. I know the impact that he has on the people and on the area. So like my friend was down there. My best friend since first grade was already down in Tampa before Tom was, and I actually went and visited my friend in I believe it was 2018 or 2017. Um, but I was down there and I remember thinking to myself like, dude, if you can do this, like I can do this. And it was just a matter of time. Like, oh, I'm going to Tampa. I'm gonna live there. And I don't know why I like wanted to so bad. It's just like wanted to get outside, needed something new. Um, and wanted to have a new experience. But like I just knew at that point I was gonna live in Tampa. And when Tom Brady was down there, I was like, "This is crazy, man." And I remember talking to my boy. I was like, because he was a huge Patriots, it still is a Patriots fan and Tom Brady fan. Um, and the fact that we were best friends and he was a Patriots fan was the best thing growing up because, everyone would talk shit in classes and everything, and they would just be like, "Yo, where's my boy?" There he is, like, "Hey, you know what's up." And every time we would have a victory or it'd be like Jersey Friday, I know my homie would be wearing a Gronkowski jersey. Or before that, he was wearing a Tom Brady jersey or a Brewski jersey. I always knew he would be wearing that. So, yeah, growing up in this area, man, it was crazy. And then Tom gets signed with Tampa. And I remember hitting my boy up. I'm like, bro, is he following you or are we following? What's going on? It's like, nah, man, he's following me. Um, and then I followed him down there, man, and I still remember it like it was yesterday. The first time driving into Tampa, and what you see is just a giant billboard of Tom Brady in front of Raymond James Stadium, and just the magnitude right next to the airport, like right next to before you go into downtown Tampa, there's Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that's what the city's all about. And they had just won the Super Bowl, so it was like, um, it was so on the up and up, and Florida was open during COVID and had no restrictions, so it was like, yeah, this is what we got to do, and this is what we're gonna be for the time being, man. And shout out to Tom Brady, man, because of following him. Um, and being inspired by him, being a fan of him, I've had a better life for it. Because a lot of my idols are like self-destructive in so many ways. And Tom Brady was a complete opposite of that. Like preservation, pliability, like eating healthy. Um, you can read the TB12 book and just change your life around. And obviously, and I say Tom Brady had a lot to do with that. Obviously, my fiance had a lot to do with that too. And I guess having both of those things in my life, having the background of like knowing what is the role model is, and then having the motivation like, all right, I need to be healthier. I need to be around for this person, for my person. I need to be the best version of myself. And my favorite athlete has done that his entire career and still continues to do it today. So, you can be mad at me for liking Tom Brady all you want, but he's been nothing but a great role model for me.
I love that. I love that. And just, real emotional, real and what I love that you did though is I love that this kind of brings us perfectly to the kind of the next segments. That what I love is that you had another interest in sports, and a lot of people in Soul Nation had that same interest. So what I love is that you formed like kind of like a division of Soul Nation specifically dedicated to that specific interest. So correct me if I'm wrong, but this started with the good countdown on your channel. Like,
Yep.
how did that where'd you get the idea to form that, and how did that all start?
Um, it really just started through a DM with so shout out Sky, Master General. He I think me and Sil would go back and forth in his chat about sports all the time. Whenever he would bring up football, it was like boom, I'm in the chat. We're talking back and forth during his live streams, even if it wasn't talking about sports. So we already kind of had that synergy, and I think he knew that. And I had started doing content on my channel and doing some videos and showing up on Sky's channel with the cool table and all of that. And I had mentioned it. And I don't know if it was in one of the larger group chats or what, but I just mentioned it and Sil DM me privately and was like, "Yo, let's do that together, and I'll come on your show." I'm like, word, okay, like let's do it then. This is the good countdown, like that's what it's called, and we're just gonna do a countdown show before the NFL games and like make our predictions. That was my idea, because we all have our thoughts, and it's evolved into something else now. But same thing, basically, me and Sil. So yeah, that's where it started, and I said it back then. This is SylNation Sports Network, and I coined it back then. My first background still have SN on them, and I was trying to get other people to use their voice as well, because I know I'm not, as you said, I'm not the only one in SylNation that likes sports or talks about sports or has an interest in sports, whether it be NFL or something else. So I really did it so other people could use their voice as well. And in the second year of SylNation, we really started seeing more Sil. Sky started talking about boxing and NBA, and we got Necron to talk about NBA as well. So it's really coming into its own, and me finding NASCAR again, finding racing again, having SylNation Sports Network already there, just gives me a platform to go right to. So it's pretty awesome, man.
What I really love about, again, SellNation Sports Network is it shows a diverse interest. Like, I know, like, we have channels we'll talk like DC, Star Wars, Marvel, and they'll say that's diverse, but that's all nerd shit. That's all the same type of genre of
Right.
interest. Whereas like sports is actually something completely different. And that's what I love how that formed. And one thing that I thought was really smart is that you formed a whole separate channel for that, SylNation Sports Network. I guess, how were you involved in the creation of that channel for Syl?
Uh, yes. So I didn't do it myself, but I actually, sometimes when I'm working on things, and you've, since working with me, you've become a little, I guess, victim of this, or come under the spell of this. But if I'm working on something for so long, I need to take a break every once in a while and like make something different. Just to keep, like, I want to work on something and I need to be creative, but I also need to take a step back from a current project if it's giving me problems or it's just taking a while. I need to stay fresh, and I don't want to hate something that I'm working on, because I want it to be good. So I think I took a break on something and was like, oh yeah, SylNation Sports Network. I need to make a logo for that, like a real logo. And I had a concept, I believe, that I had sent Sil when I first mentioned the name, but he didn't really seem to love it. So I kind of was like, all right, whatever. And I let that fall on the back burner. But when I made the SylNation Sports Network logo that we use now, um, I remember making it and just be like, "Yo, this is the one. Like, this is sick," uh, and sending it to Sil. And as soon as I did that, that inspired him to just make the channel, make the Twitter account, and put that logo everywhere up on there. After I made that, so I kind of had a part in that. Its creation, its official designation there, because I made that logo. Yeah.
That's great. That's really, because yeah, that's what I love is that you do all this different artwork, and we'll actually kind of transition to that pretty soon. But there's some other questions I want to get into with SylNation Sports Network. So one thing you did that I really loved is that you got a fantasy league together, and I, unfortunately was a victim of the draft pick and did not do did not do the best, honestly, but I still love the concept. You got a bunch of us together. We picked DC names, and I guess where'd you get the idea to start a SylNation fantasy league?
I mean, I think we had talked about it in the first year of the good countdown, because we kind of like wanted to do it. And fantasy is such a big part of being an NFL fan. Creating your own team and being in a league. So we wanted to kind of do it, but there wasn't. It was just too early and everything. I was like, "Yo, let's do the show first. Figure out the show, and then if we have enough people, let's do a fantasy league." And then it was coming time where the new season was coming, and Sil was like, "Yo, I'm down to do the good countdown again." So I kind of put it out there and asked him, I believe, I was like, "Do you think we could do a fantasy league? Do you want to do a fantasy league?" And I'm thinking this, and I told him my idea, and he was like, "Yo, that's dope. It's a dope idea with the DC names." And the reason why is because this is we're Still Nation Sports Network, and the first part of that is we're Still Nation, which we came together, a lot of us, for DC content, for Snyder content. So I thought that was just a cool way to give everyone inspiration to be original, but also have a league that's semi like fantasy realistic, where we all have like your name was awesome, Gotham City Ball Busters. It was a football name, but cool play on words. And I had Central
Yep.
City Stars for Star Labs. So I thought that was very cool, and I still that's on my to-do list. It takes a little bit of wayside when you got to move 3 years worth of stuff 3,000 miles, but I'm still gonna make the jerseys and everything for everybody that signed up, because that was so fun, and it was tough too. Like, not all fun and games, because had to change the scoring and all that, and there was some trials and tribulations with that. But I wanted to have us come together as sports fans and have something to talk about, and have a reason to talk crap with one another, and just have fun, because that's what this community has always been about. And there's always somebody in our chats, in our mentions, trying to throw us off track, trying to make us feel bad in whatever way, shape, or form. So
Yeah.
um,
Yep.
I always try to combat that and be a reason why we're having a good time and coming together. So that was just my way of creating another layer of SellNation Sports Network. Like, yo, you guys are a part of the fantasy league, the first fantasy league too. And I thought it went really well, man. I owe Dave Miller and my buddy Kyle some Amazon gift cards, which I will get to, but they won it fair and square. And my buddy who was in there to the championship uh said that it was a great like league. He loved the concept of it. So I think it went really well. And thank you for being a part of it. And thanks everyone in the chat who was also a part of it. There's more to come. And I can't wait to show you guys all NASCAR this year as a part of SellNation Sports Network too.
Oh, I definitely could not wait for that NASCAR. I saw that trailer for what you were doing, and it
Yes.
looked amazing. And again, it's combining two things we love, DC and sports. And like the
And
fantasy league was a
Netflix.
oh yeah, Netflix. Which I don't know. I kind of put Netflix, kind of combine Netflix with DC now. I kind of view it as one entity, to be honest with you. At this point, I know they're technically separate, but I kind of
It
view
would
DC and
It would be great if Netflix owned DC, man. It would be great. We'd all be living in a better world, I think, man. But no, I'm with you. I'm with you. It brings everything together, just like tomorrow is gonna bring everything together too.
full circle.
Yes, sir.
And before we move on to the next topic, I guess, do you have any expansion plans for SylNation Sports Network?
Obviously we're getting into NASCAR, and we're gonna just uh continued. I know Still is gonna do more NBA coverage. This upcoming season for the Good Countdown, we're gonna have more betting coverage. Um, Florida just got legalized at the end of the season, and I wasn't really betting. I wasn't living in a spot that was legal, so I couldn't really talk about it. I wasn't really interested in doing anything illegally. But now with this season coming up, we're gonna be talking about more sports gambling, and getting into more bets and all that. Might have some UFC coverage coming up, but we're just more of what we're doing because we're not doing enough really. But that's just because we're so enticed and sell. So I think you'll see just more of what we're doing. NASCAR, football, NBA, maybe some MLB coverage, but and boxing. You'll see more of that if you guys are interested in that, and more expansion will come in the future. But we just really want to hone in on what we're doing and get good at that before we do more. Because if you put too much on your plate before you get going, then you just sort of sputter out. And we've learned through trial and error what to do and what not to do as far as this content stuff. So we're gonna keep at what we're doing and just try to get better at it for now. And you'll see NASCAR coverage, the Good Countdown will have a little transition, and maybe have a different name for NASCAR coverage, but that's every Sunday too. So I'm going to start doing that um, before the races, and we'll have a look at the points and all that stuff. And obviously on my own channel, it'll be under the SylNation Sports Network banner, but we'll be racing on my channel, and you'll be seeing me sim racing over there. So yeah, lots to come, man. Just more of the same, I guess.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it all, and just seeing where SylNation Sports Network can go. And now we're going to get back to my wardrobe change again. So let me make sure I put that hat on. I was kind of doing that blind a little bit. So, and as mentioned before, at the very beginning, you did all my artwork. You did this awesome background you see, the logo, the intro that would sound so much better for me if StreamYard actually worked properly, but I still have those sound issues. So what's going on with StreamYard for me is that it can't play music. It's like whenever anything with music is supposed to play, it just like doesn't play. And then if I have StreamYard open and listen to something on YouTube, it carries over into YouTube. So it's like, the intro, how it sounds to you guys all, and when I listen to it on YouTube, it sounds great. But to me, on StreamYard, it sounds not great because it's that intro without the music,
Yeah,
which,
we're have to figure that out someday soon. What's going on with that? But yeah, thanks StreamYard.
yep, thank you, StreamYard, for that. But you know what? The important thing is that the intro sounds good to my audience. So that's really all that matters. I'd much rather I have the sound issue on my end than you guys have the sound issue on your end. So what got you into art exactly? Like doing into all this different type of art?
Oh man, just drawing as a kid, man. And wanting to create something, and I guess NASCAR had a lot to do with that too, because such a big part of NASCAR is the paint scheme and how the car looks. So being being a fan, having the opportunity to like make your own scheme and draw your own scheme. I thought that was so cool. And like, yo, one person is the person that puts that all together. I thought that was the coolest thing. So I wanted to make my own art, and then it transferred on to not just cars, but just like everywhere. Everywhere I could have art, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna create it. I'm gonna paint it. I'm gonna do what I can. Um, and I didn't realize as a kid like how much of a gift that is. Like if you have that in you, you have to use that. And it's like it's whatever you believe in. I hope you find something that can give you meaning to go ahead and like, yes, this is a God-given gift or whatever you believe. Like I said, it is a gift. It's a talent. And it should be used. It needs to be used because, um, and you don't realize this, but like as an artist, as someone who can do, um, you don't realize how many people there are that are out there that can't do. And yeah, I just, growing up, I just thought people were like, oh, well, you just didn't take the time to draw. Like you just don't draw. You do whatever. You don't do what I do. You don't want to. You won't do it. And that's what I thought. And until you get older, you realize is people just don't. They can't. They just literally something in their brain is different than yours, and you have the ability to do stuff. And I just continue to. I like to draw my name all the time, draw whatever I can because it's so fulfilling when you're able to have an idea in your head and then bring it to life in reality and then like touch it and feel it. I'm trying to look around at my own artwork right now. All I have is these I made PlayStation like buttons to hang up on my wall. But like even that, like little things. Um I love it. I love making that stuff, and I can't wait to continue creating, like, um and I've been blessed too to have friends that are also artists, that were in different stages of their artistry while I was growing up. It inspired me to be like, "Oh, damn, like, I can do that." And that another, like, probably played into the reason why I didn't understand why people who weren't artists when they couldn't do stuff. I'm like, what do you mean you can't? You just haven't tried it yet. But as an artist, I would see other artists do stuff. I literally think like, yo, I can do that. I just have to figure out how to do it. With so many things, even all the art today. And that's why it's just evolved into this. Because of my OCD. I guess that's something I haven't brought up yet, but having that and also being an artist is so tough because um you can't on a perfect blank paper, once you make a pencil mark, you can erase it as much as you want. It's not going to be the same piece of paper anymore. But in a digital space, I can hit that undo button and it's a brand new paper. So like when I was able to find that, and I don't even have this piece of technology yet, but it's one thing I'm working towards. And if you guys sub and like my channel, maybe help me out. I'm trying to
Link in the
get
description.
Thank you, Pat. I appreciate that. I want to eventually get a tablet that I can draw and write on, and it's responsive because that's when it's going to be taken to a whole different level for me, artist wise, and I can do that. But I was looking for that as a kid, painting, drawing, all that. I'd be like, man, if I could just. This was the perfect piece, and I had to do a loop there instead of a straight line. And now I gotta erase it. It's not gonna be the same. Like you don't understand as a person with OCD, like how monumental that is. And I would just throw the whole piece away. And it was
Oh,
hard. It
wow.
was hard to do art for the biggest time. I can't look at it anymore because it's driving me insane. And like that part of my being is like why I also resonate with Barry Allen and his like neurotic like issues because and Wally West because like having that spark in you and having like that tingly feeling is sort of what it feels like having OCD because like you feel that with certain things just make you tingle get on you and make you feel like on edge and so art is very hard for me, man, because like a lot of art you have to fail, you have to be bad at, to be able to get better at, and a lot of growing as a person is understanding that and putting myself like you just saw me just moving around thinking about it, putting myself
Yeah.
in that uncomfortable position, um, to grow as a person because I want to be better. I want to make cooler stuff. I want to my ideas in my head never can truly turn out to what I want them to be because my skill isn't there yet. Um so that's a part of the art paradigm that I've had to, kind of dive into. But my background in art, it goes so deep, and I love art, man. The power to make somebody feel a way just with colors and shapes and how you orient them. Um, it blows me away, man. Like looking at all the old paintings from like the Renaissance and all that, like um sometimes I think we've lost some of the skill of artistry in our modern era. But but it's all art, and when you learn about art and you're interested in art as a young kid, you're able to find the positives and things are easier and be like a more optimistic person, I think, because you're able to find and look at things like, yo, that's a piece of art right there. It could be a freaking fire escape with against a brick wall. And but if you take it and it's wet, if you take a picture of that, you got the city light and it's moody, like you feel away when you look at that picture. And that's art. And however you your perspective on the world can be artistic if you think that way. And I was just blessed to be interested in art as a young age, want to create art, and then have people around me that would be like, yeah, dude, like that's cool. Keep doing it. Like keep making that stuff. My father, I'll never forget my dad always telling me he was the first person who told me I should be a graphic designer. And I didn't want to listen to him. I wish I did, but I didn't want to listen to him at the time. And he was right though. Like, and he was at a young age, um, still telling me like, "Yo, you need to continue doing this." Before he told me I should be a graphic designer, he's like, "Yeah, keep drawing, keep painting, keep doing whatever you do, man. This is awesome." Even if it was crap, but having that encouragement helped me grow a lot as a person. So, yeah, man, art is a huge part of everything that I do. Obviously, you know that.
Yeah, I love that, and I wanted to pull up Josh's comment up here because I think it sums perfectly with everything you just said. In fact, you know what, Josh? I'm gonna pin that comment in the chat because I love it so much, and that's why
Hell yeah, dude.
exactly, just like Zack Snyder, and just again, all these things are really connected. And you know what I just realized about the NASCAR thing? It actually combines all three of your interests. It combines your geek shit interests, so that's how we'll cover DC and Netflix under one. It combines your sports interests, and it combines your art interests because that's how because you're designing it. So it's like the trinity of your interests all
Boom. And
meld into one.
that's what I mean with missing it and not knowing I was missing it. That's why I was such a big aha moment when I like refound it again recently, because of that. And yeah, man, I love making art. I wouldn't be me. And even like before I really started getting into digital art, I did music and all of that. I've been really blessed to be taught or have people tell me things that for whatever because of my OCD, because things repeat themselves all the time in my head. People would say things to me and that would be repeated on and on and on in my head. My grandfather telling me things about being an artist, my ex-sister-in-law telling me things about being an artist. Every great artist is proficient in every medium. And to me, I was like, oh damn, that just means that I need to start doing. I'm not like to me if you're an artist, that means you do everything. That means you do everything, and you'll try to do new things. Because growing up, I thought in art there was like professions, like oh, I'm just a painter, or I'm just this, I'm just this. Well, then to me, you're not a good artist because then you're not like trying different things. And some of the best artists today that I know do everything, and they don't limit themselves to any one medium, because if you do that, you really halt your creative process. And if you believe what I believe, that you have a gift, your gift is given in so many different ways for art. Like I really think and believe in vibrations and frequencies, and that's why, you know, the Flash is so perfect for me too. But I think like a tuning fork, just like you can tune an instrument or whatever, and that vibration of sometimes you don't have to hit a tuning fork. Something else is vibrating near the tuning fork and it'll catch the same vibrations of it. I feel that way for the art that I create. Whether it be for you or Sky or anybody else, there you guys are the frequency that I match. And then whatever comes just comes from you guys and it's through me. But that's how my art I feel is created. Like a lot of the times I wow myself, and I don't like try and say that by like patting myself on the back in any means necessary, but literally I'll sit back a lot of times and be like, damn man, that was sick, or that looks cool. Like that looks awesome. And because of that I get this feeling like I made that? Like, what? I made that. Holy shit, I made that. How did how did I even think of that? And I wow myself, and you know, that feeling gives me more belief in like a higher power than anything does in this world. I have so many blessings in my life, but the feeling of creating art, and as artistic as it is racing, there's an art in, you know, running a line, and there's an art to your uh your line around a track and how you race. There's an art to that. Um, all of that. It's really just is a part of me, and I can't go anywhere without seeing art, without being artistic and being the medium and feeling like, yo, I'm getting this from a higher power. Something else is giving me the creative juices for this, and it may come through me, but I'm just the medium. Like just like an interpreter is, right? Like someone who speaks a different language, you have that interpreter there to understand what they're saying and make it understandable to you. Well, there's just all this art out there, all this beautiful stuff in this world, and without artists to put it in the forefront of you, you may not see it. And I feel like I'm one of those people. Thankfully blessed to be one of those people and call myself an artist. So yeah, that's a big part of my background as well.
And you're a great artist. I can speak from, oh, look at Skywalker. Look at Skywalker. He's about to put you to work.
About to get the
But
DM.
I can speak from experience that you do great work on here. So much. Huh, what's that? You hinting you hinting something else coming up, Skywalker? Is you pulling more Mikey Suttons in the chat, huh?
I don't know
But
nothing.
yeah, sure. You don't know nothing. Yep,
My lips are
okay.
sealed. My lips are sealed, bro.
That's fine. That's fine. But the reason why I wanted to get into your background of art is that this brings up an important point. Now, I'm going to tell you people a little bit of a secret about interviews. At least with me. Sometimes I ask questions that I already know the answer to. The reason being is that I like to get it out there for the general audience. There's some stuff I don't know. There's a lot of stuff I don't know that I ask, but there's some stuff I know that I ask anyways. The reason I'm clarifying this is because there are certain sections that I may be asking here, and people are gonna be like, "Batman, how do you not know this answer?" You'll know what I'm talking about when I get there. Well, the reason I'm asking it is that particular reason. So I don't know if I should admit that that happens in interviews, but I'm pretty sure everyone knows that.
Hey man, you always have a new audience, so it's good to ask the questions and good to repeat ourselves for anybody who doesn't know.
So what I want to ask then is how did you get into art in like for SylNation? Like how did you start using your art for SylNation and the cool table in the Syndicate network? Well, all in one.
Um, I think I literally just took the initiative. I had already I had the I guess a hobby of making logos and making overlays for myself because being an artist and being a content creator, I had wanted to, and I used to stream video games because streaming to me is so interesting. Having a community that's online and being able to kind of clock in at your own computer and go get a coffee or go pet your dog, but always having this fun community to do stuff with. I like that. I really enjoy that. So I used to Twitch stream, and I used to stream Horizon Zero Dawn. I never finished that game. I still need to, but it was a lot of fun. And I used to do that when I used to live in New York beforehand, and I was with my fiance in our first apartment together. I did that, and it was a lot of fun. And doing that, I know I had the capability to stream. I know I could talk. I know I used to record myself anyways because I make music. And I used to make my own album covers, and my own single covers. So I made artwork. I did all this stuff beforehand, and I did it to make it look cool. So doing all of that stuff, I remember when I was just a part of the Cool Table. I think maybe Sky made one. Yes. Yep. Mikey was an integral part of that. So yeah, I guess I just took it upon myself. I made the Cool Table logo, the first one we had, which is like the silhouette of all of us. And then I think I made that, and Sky was like, "Yo, I need a logo." And I was like, "I'll just make one for all of us. Why don't I just make like boom, boom, boom?" I need to. I'm saying this stuff. I need to have my notepad around me, but I made one for Leon, and he wants a specific font that I still have yet to find. But I made them for all of them, and they're like, "Yo, this stuff is so dope. Why don't you make more?" And Mikey was like, "Yo, your stuff is sick. Like, I need you to make this for me." So I just did that, and had the ability to, and the appreciation of my fellow peers who were like, "Yo, your stuff is sick. We don't want to put stuff out unless you're doing it. So, here's this, and this. Can you do this?" And at first, they were like, "Yo, we're asking you too much. Like, we're asking you to do too much. You're doing too much for us. Like, no, 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 no. Like, we can't." And it would get to a point like, "Boys, like, is anybody gonna have anything for me? I did this already. It's all done." And they're like, "What? How did you finish that already? Like, come on, let's keep going. I got more to do. This is fun. This is cool." So it just started that way. I made a couple of thumbs for Syl and Mikey, and then Sky was just like, kind of just wrapped me up. It was like, "Yo, let's do this." And I just became his full producer. Also, these are my homies. Knowing that I have the ability to make cool stuff, and I think, and like, I guess arrogantly or confidently, I'm like, "Yo, my shit looks cool. I can make cooler shit than whatever you're doing or whoever's making what for you. I'll make something cooler." So I took that initiative, man, and they all agreed. They kind of were like, "Yeah, this is cool. We need to have you doing the stuff." And I got lucky, man. I took the initiative, and everyone was like, "Yeah, this is what we need. We need some more of this." And I'm just thankful to be like the pseudo art director, I guess, of all this stuff, because I want it to look good. And if my name's gonna be on it, I don't want it to be subpar. So it's part of the reason why too. Like, I'll voice up, I'll speak up, like, "Guys, I gotta do something," and they'll be like, "All right." So it's a partly me, but also shout out to everybody else who's involved in the decision makings of what we do in the Cool Table and SylNation and the Syndicate. They were all very much adamant that I do what I do. So it's all up to them as well. Definitely not just my decision. But so shout out to everybody: Sky, Leon, Necron, Syl, and the late great Mikey Sutton, for believing in me and wanting me to do it.
Captain Sam, can you hear me? On your left.
just wanted to show a little bit of that too, since Socks brought it up, and you're right. That was another project. That was another thing that you did. No, hold on. Let me just switch the backgrounds back, since this is a primarily DC conversation. But so, yep, we are. And actually, Austin, spoiler alert, this is going to relate to something I asked you backstage after this stream. So be on the lookout for that. So anyway, okay, yeah. So now so again, this is kind of why I brought that whole point of sometimes pretending I don't know the answers. Now I kind of want to know, how did you get involved in this channel services of Batman's Thoughts? That means all the shows, not just the that means Batman's Thoughts, well, I guess Batman's Thoughts covers the interviews and discussions, but Marvelous Discussions, Space-tastic Discussions, the Christmas intro, the logos. How did you get involved in the production of this channel?
You DM me, my friend. Just like I said, I've been fortunate where people seek me out for what I do, and I believe I posted on Twitter. I was like, hey, anybody in SylNation that wants to use my services, hit me up and we could talk. I'm not super expensive, but I definitely need some form of payment just because it's a lot of time and I'm doing a lot of other things. But I definitely want to help people out and make other people's stuff look just as cool. And you were literally, I think you immediately hit me up as soon as that tweet went out. You were like, boom, first person in my DMs, and you're like, yo. And we got to talking, and ever since, you've hit me up for every single thing I believe you had an idea for, and thank you for that. And I always like try to kick it back to you. I'm like, you know what? Here's this too. For always supporting me and keeping me busy. Because like I said, doing this stuff for you helps me with what I'm doing, because I want to make your stuff professional and look nice, obviously. But then it helps me out when I go to do stuff, because I've already learned how to do it, doing it for you, or when I go to help Sky out, vice versa. So you're definitely the reason why I am the producer of Bat Dan's channel. So everyone could thank Bat Dan for that, and I thank you for that as well. And I look forward to everything that we're gonna make together in the future too, man.
Oh yeah, I can't wait too. There's so much great stuff, and you did such a great job on the Batman's Thoughts intro and logo. And then when I started Marvelous Discussions with Socks, I'm like, it doesn't really make sense to have a DC intro for a Marvel specific show, because like the way Batman's Thoughts works is there's two. It's like New York. New York has a city that's in the state itself, and that's how Batman's Thoughts is. So it's the channel Batman's Thoughts, and encompasses many shows, including the first show, which is also Batman's Thoughts. So it works for Batman's Discussions, Batman's interviews, but plus discussions and a whole Batman intro. I'm like, nah, we gotta do something about that. So that's how I got you into the Marvelous Discussions and the Marvel intro. And then I knew I wanted to do the Star Wars show, which incorporated Rebel Moon, since that's Zack Star Wars. We got the Space-tastic Discussions, which
I can't wait for people to see that.
Oh, I'm excited for that one. And then the Christmas one that you saw that came out last year. So, but yeah, I'm really excited for Space-tastic Discussions. And yes, as Austin said, I definitely give Austin my notes for all this stuff. And what I really love is you go so far above and beyond. Like when I asked for like the shortened version of the intros that you make, that I love that you actually took the time to find new clips that weren't previously used in the long intro, because so many people, they could just take all the only clips from the intro, from the long intro that's not
just
in
copy paste.
Exactly, just copy and paste. But no, you actually took the time to find new clips. And one thing that I really love is that with the Christmas intro, there's a whole Christmas special that's specific for the short intro, but not the long intro, a Charlie Brown Christmas. And I love that you did that. I love that, a Charlie Brown Christmas is like unique to the short intro. So, and I'll be honest, when I told you to incorporate Star Wars in the Christmas intro, I was even thinking, how the hell is he going to do that? And You
So
found
was
a
I,
way.
dude. So was I. I was like, what the? I was scratching my head. But hey, man, shout out to other creators out there, making cool Christmas Star Wars crossover stuff that I was able to involve in that. And as you said, as I was saying, the stuff that you had me do and other people had me do helps me as an artist. When I did that Marvelous Discussions intro for you, dude, that was the first time I ever went and grabbed Marvel clips for as an editor. I'm like, damn, I don't have anything Marvel on my computer. I have so much DC clips I don't know what to do with. I can almost put together the whole movies with just clips, but I didn't have anything Marvel. And it was a lot of fun too because obviously I watched those. I like a lot of the Marvel movies, but apart from being a huge Flash fan growing up, a lot of people don't know because I don't talk about it. Why would I? But I was a huge Peter Parker Spider-Man fan as well, because of a similar sort of trajectory where great power, great responsibility. He only has one thing. He's a spider, but he uses it in so many different ways, right? And he always got his ass kicked, but he always found a way to get up. So um, all of that, involves for what we're talking about, and I couldn't be more grateful for you telling me, hey man, I need a Marvel Discussions intro. And I'm like, oh damn, like how am I gonna put this together? But when I'm putting it together, it's so much fun. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Like this is coming together. This is actually coming together pretty nicely. And it's like I said, taking your interest, your and Sock's interest, putting it together, trying to make a story about it, trying to make it cohesive. That challenges me as an artist. And having that opportunity, I don't take lightly. So I always, everything that I'm asked to do, I always, you know, take time to do it. Everything in my life is really, it makes me who I am. It's never like there's no uh all the little things that are important to people, all the little things make me who I am. Like if my family, my father and my mom didn't teach me a work ethic growing up, didn't teach me to be proud of, well, why do I have to be proud of my work? Like I'm working at Domino's, dude. What the hell does it matter? Because you have our last name and you are us. Like I didn't get that growing up, but now I get it. Like to take pride in who you are and what you do. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't do what I do as an artist. I wouldn't take like as much pride, as much time, as much diligence in everything that I do because of one of those small things. My parents teaching me to be proud of who you are and what you do. So, yeah, man, it all ties together. Just like our movement, just like our conversation, it's all little pieces of one whole. And my art, I have the ability to do that too, right? Like how all the little pieces of one whole make me, all the little pieces of you guys make the art come together and make that whole. Like it makes it so easy. And I guess I probably make it look easy, even though it is effort to do that. But it's just the life that I've had the opportunity and the blessing to live makes my art the way that it is and makes my work ethic with my art the way that it does. So doing artwork for you, the SylNation Sports Network, SylNation just general with Syl, stuff with Mikey that we were doing, the cool table and everything for Sell that I'm able to do. I take it as an opportunity, and I don't take it lightly. Like, yeah, sure, this is a hobby. I'm not getting paid for a lot of this. Thankfully, I am getting paid for some of the stuff that I do, which it makes it all worth it. But it's all an opportunity for me. It's not like I probably would do it all for free. I wouldn't have as much enthusiasm, but I probably would just because I I feel like I said, I've been given a gift. So to not use it is to just waste your energy and waste your time on this earth. And I'm not someone who does that. You got a limited amount of energy, a limited amount of time, so use it wisely. And art is always a part of that as well. Like be efficient with the art, be effective with the art too. Don't just make nonsense. I can't tell you how much stuff that's in my computer that I don't use or doesn't get used or doesn't get seen, because I'll make something and be like, it's not good enough. Back to the drawing board. And that work ethic just goes for all you as well. I'm not gonna put together something crappy. And if it is, I'm not gonna give it. I'm not gonna be like, oh, here you go. Nah, dude. It's if it's gonna have my name on it, it's gotta be good.
And it is great. I love it. It's the work you do on these intros is amazing. Here, I uploaded some of the short, abridged intros I use for my short videos that I just want to show real quick.
Love it.
And guys, do not get used to me showing Christmas stuff outside of Christmas time. I'm making a special exception for this because I'm trying to show. I just want to show all the artwork that remind people of all the artwork that Austin did. So.
Get my car. I brought mine. Yours.
And because I showed all the other intros, I gotta show at least a part of this one, so I'll make sure this is from the... And for those of you who don't know, this intro is really long, so it had to be its own...
Yeah. It's a perfect opening scene, though. I had to use it.
Gonna skip ahead because we won't show the whole. Let's see where you. Like, I love how you did this. Where for those who don't know, I asked Austin to put all three of my logos on there because I didn't want to have to create separate intros for the different seasons because I'd only use or for the different shows because I'd use this once a year. So I'd be telling Austin, hey, create this marvelous discussions intro I'm going to use for 2 shows out of the entire year. So it's like and then the way you just tacked on like space tactics at the end.
Jill, there's just no way to explain the devastation right now as the Life Day parade.
Life Day too, so I love that you did that as well. Because for those who don't know, Life Day is Star Wars Christmas, basically. So real attention, it's like attention to detail like this I really love. So
thanks, man. Thanks. And that's all inspired from Zack. his attention to detail is really like, obviously I saw it in a lot of other artwork in other places, but Zack doing it in his movies and doing it in his posters, that's really what inspires me to do it, and like where it comes from, because I always loved and one of my favorite movies was National Treasure. Like the hidden messages. I love that. The things that we see every day in plain sight, but if you know something, if you have a certain part of knowledge and you can look for these things, it's like, oh, there's actually a hidden message there, or this is actually there. So I like to do that in my artwork too, obviously. If I can put an Easter egg somewhere, I'll do it. I'll do it all day, because it's there for the people who view it. Obviously, there's the whole picture that everyone sees, but if you look a little longer, there's always something else.
Exactly, just like Zack Snyder. And just again, people, I'm gonna remind people, this is a special exception to my whole no Christmas outside of end of November, December rule. Only because I want to highlight all of Josh's artwork, which does include some of the some Christmas stuff. So
You mean my artwork, not Josh's?
yeah, your artwork, not Josh's. I'm yelling at Josh. That's why I said Josh's. Austin's artwork. You know what? I'm really glad it's not in the chat right now. Super Bowl Corey, because he loves to put Christmas stuff outside of Christmas just to troll me. Our 300 review, he prepared like 6 different Christmas 300 backgrounds for 2 weeks ago. So if Super Bowl Corey was in the chat right now. But yeah, that's what I really love, is that you do all this different artwork, and Mike, as Sky said, Mikey gave you a lot of work, Sky gave you a lot of work, I give you a lot of work, SylNation Sports Network. And what really comes
on me.
Oh, your sounds okay.
I'm back.
Okay. All I was saying was that Mikey, Sky, myself, SylNation Sports Network, we've all kept you really busy through all this time. And hold on, let me just get some background set up. So where it's really come into play was here. You've done so much great artwork for the Sell campaign, and this is the main topic. This is why, we are doing this stream right now, the day before Trending Day. And we learned all about Austin, all about everything about this guy, his DC and Netflix side, his sports side, his art side, and how it all really comes full circle into the Sell campaign. So we're going to kind of start off with some of the bad news. With what started with this was Henry Cavill. He gives that after 2 months after he announced he was returning as Superman. It's December 15th or 14th, whatever that Wednesday was. I always get this wrong. Henry Cavill says, "I'm not returning as Superman after all. The cape is hung up. My time as Superman is past." I guess, Austin, for you, what was that feeling like? Just seeing that.
Sorry, buddy. Hold on. Give me a second.
Okay, no problem. But keep on running. Yep, he is. And of course, Socks. We all know, Socks, your favorite intro is the Marvel intro. But I love that one too. That's a great intro again, as I said before, I enjoy these intros a lot more if StreamYard wasn't crapping out on me. But when I hear them on YouTube, they sound very awesome. And a few times StreamYard has worked well for me. They sound very awesome. So thank you, StreamYard. Thank you, StreamYard, for being mean in the chat.
I can hear again. I can hear again.
Okay.
Sorry
great.
about that, buddy.
No problem. I understand. This is, for those who don't know, This is Austin's first time in his new studio on this stream right here on Bat
I
Dance
don't.
Thoughts channel.
I don't have my headphones. I need to find them before tomorrow. Let me tell you that much when we're doing our watch alongs and stuff. I don't need to be having this problem. My headphones dying. But yeah, we'll get that
Oh,
figured out. And thank you for having me on again. Sorry I wasn't prepared.
yeah, no problem at all. No problem at all. So, the day comes. Henry Cavill, he's not Superman. He just gave that announcement. What was that feeling like for you?
Oh man. I mean, it's like gut wrenching. It like tore my heart out. It's like, no effing way this is happening. Mainly because weeks leading up to that, Sky, myself, all SylNation, Mikey versus Cool Table, we were kind of like, hey man, let's give James Gunn a chance. Let's give him a chance. He might, you know, be good. He might carry this on. Actually, he might not change everything, even though he had a $100-200 million flop. And Peacemaker sucks. Maybe this will be good. Maybe this will be good. Maybe he won't put his hands all over DC and he'll let what is be and continue, and then he can do whatever the fuck he wants. And because we also had Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi in place, we thought, you know what? They're gonna hey, Nightwing, you have to DM me, buddy. It's not really a free time thing. You gotta pay for my time nowadays, unfortunately. But as far as this goes, it really was just heart wrenching to have that happen. Have him announce that he was done as Superman because of James Gunn. It was like, wow. Well, thanks, James Gunn, for just making us look like complete idiots and a-holes, for telling everybody to go against what they thought originally. And then, but also we all had that first instinct too, where like, oh fuck, James Gunn is hired, like we're screwed. And that was our initial reaction. We had to walk ourselves back, and then Henry Cavill got fired, and we're like, you know what? We were right. And everyone who had that inclination that this is bad news, that he's the co-CEO, they're right too. Shout out Necron. What's good, man? We got me and him. We got some stuff coming for everybody. We've been working, but yeah, it was so gut wrenching, man, to say the least. I mean, to put it very lightly, like just the wind knocked out of your sails, the wind knocked out of me. It's like, it's over. That's what it felt like. It's done.
Yeah, it was. I felt the same way. I felt it was heartbreaking, and I guess I want to ask. So this is pre-Skywalker coming up with Cell, or publicly coming out with it. This is pre-rules of engagement. So you can be honest about this. Were you in the fire James Gunn camp, hashtag wise, at the time?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, like when it first started, I was, and then I was like, nah, we're good. And then Henry Cavill, said what he said, and then we had all the news coming out about everybody else. Like, oh, I talked to James Gunn today, and he basically said, "Go F yourself." Yeah, I definitely was a part of the Fire James Gunn campaign. And I don't know how much I actually tweeted about that, because, like I said, for me it was over. I'm like, all right, well, I'm not gonna be a DC fan going forward. Everything that I love and know about DC is from the past. And it's just not. I'm just not going to support anything the WB does, because they just can't make good decisions. They go out of their way to make bad decisions, actually. So I'm just not going to be a part of it. Not going to care anymore. And so it's like, I might have tweeted that a couple of times, but ultimately I just didn't give a shit about it anymore. I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm out. This is stupid. We're never gonna get what we want. Like, that's how I felt. I was like, I was at my wit's end with all of the effort and all of the things that we went through with Black Adam to support it, to curve the narrative, to be a different narrative out there. I was exhausted. I was like, all right, well, they're gonna fire Henry Cavill after they brought him back and just like shame this guy and like shoot him in the back. Like, for lack of better words, to be nice, as positive as I am, I was like, fuck WB, fuck James Gunn, fuck all them. And I'm not gonna be on Twitter hashtagging about it. I'm just gonna go about my day and tell everybody that I interact with that James Gunn is a fucking prick and fuck everything that WB does. That's what I was gonna do, and I still do it today. Whenever it's come up in conversation and people are bigging up James Gunn, I'm always there to be like, oh, you like and so and this and this. Oh, it's weird that you support that. And turn the conversation real quick. So yeah, I'll never support that guy, never liked that guy, and I'm mad that we stuck up for him for the few weeks that we did when we were trying to give him a chance, because he just kicked us all in the teeth and continued to afterwards. So yeah, I was definitely hashtagging fire James Gunn maybe once or twice, but what you definitely saw from my profile was fuck James Gunn, and it still is like that.
And there's no shame in the fact that we all gave James Gunn a chance, because here's the reality. You have to give people a chance until they screw up, not before. And all these people who went after Zaslav before he did anything wrong, and they're like, oh, we were right to go after him. We were right to go after him. No, you weren't. Because at the time, he wasn't doing anything wrong. At the time, he was showing signs that he was restoring the Snyderverse. And maybe
Right.
if you had given him a chance, maybe history would have turned out differently. Do we know that 100%? No, but we also don't know that it wouldn't have turned out differently if you gave him a chance. What we do know is you didn't give him a chance, some of you people, and this is the result we got. So, anyway, I digress. And now the reason I wanted to ask those questions is because I want to kind of transition now to the opposite now. So, when did you hear about this Cell campaign, Skywalker's grand plan to get ZSJL2 and 3 on Netflix, which has evolved into the spin-offs like the Air Cut, Man of Steel 2, Batfleck v Deathstroke? I guess, when did you first hear about this?
I think after the stream had happened. I don't know if Sky talked to me about it beforehand, or if he did. I think I was going through training at my job at the current time, at that time. So like I was busy in my real life, and the boys, and all of us are very understanding. Like whenever you got stuff in real life like going on, like we're never gonna ask you to be here. Like, all right, if you got stuff going on, like take care of that first before you have time to sit down and hang out with us and talk comic books or talk entertainment. Obviously family and your health and like your main responsibility as a human, as a citizen, like those things come first. So I think at the time I had something, I was probably busy doing something real life stuff, and it wasn't until like after I think I caught the replay, and I remember because he streamed so late at night. At the time I was going to bed early and I wasn't able to watch until like on my drive to work. And I remember getting to that point in this. I didn't get to that point in the stream that he had until like after work, because at that job I couldn't listen to podcasts during the day, so I didn't finish it until like the day after. And at that point it was already on Twitter, like taking off like a firestorm, and I was like, "What the hell did I miss?" And then I found out, got in, and started talking to Sky about it, and um he's the type of guy. I'm the same way. Like a lot of the stuff that we do, we like to surprise each other with, so we can get like our boys' reactions. Like, oh, yo, like if right now I was to like show you the stuff that we were working on for Cell, you'd be like, holy shit. But first and foremost, I get those reactions out of the homies, and that's why I do some of what I do, to get their reaction, so they could be like, damn, or they'll be like, that's not it, bro. But usually it's like, yo, that's sick. And that's kind of what Sky did with this idea. Like he milled it around a little bit for between other people, but for me and Necron, I know that he was just like, blow, here's this idea that I got, isn't it? And we're like, dude, and he was like, see, I didn't know if you guys were gonna be like that, but since you like that, this is what I was thinking. And then obviously the cool table was already formed at that point. So we were just when it came to the hashtag like coming out and like becoming a thing, like it wasn't even like like the plan was never to be what it is. I think Sky could probably tell you that too. Like when he had that ideas for the hashtags, I don't think he ever had an idea that we would be what we are now. Zack Snyder Cell movement. I don't think that, and you can't foresee that. I don't even think, but you just have an idea and he put it out into the universe and it became this. And through the best intentions, and the best effectiveness throughout the whole way. Like a lot of what we've talked about tonight is my passions and who I am as a person, and that went hand in hand with working with Sky on Cell because, well, obviously we're very passionate about Zack Snyder's work and getting this story finished, and that's why we came together. But also, we do things effectively separately, like speaking or whatever it be, cultivating community, making artwork, like getting things done. And knowing the story of what went on beforehand, we really didn't want to repeat the same mistakes that went on with different campaigns, like release the Snyder Cut, and restore. We didn't want to do what we didn't like in those movements and what happened that we didn't agree with. We didn't want to be those people, and we had those intentions from the get go. We didn't even want to do trending events. Like we were done with trending events. We didn't want to do those, but like we had to evolve and kind of do those, and we've even evolved them now. It's the engagement events. So I don't think Zach, I don't think Sky ever even thought that this was going to be what it is. But when it started, it kind of just evolved into what it is, and um the things that we've gone through, the things that we've experienced along the way, people have had to step up or take that opportunity, or people have stepped away, even so, and felt like they needed to for whatever reason, and like those things are all things that could have stopped this idea or halted it or whatever. But like because Sky was the one with this idea and he was the person behind it, his overall like charisma and character, um, being involved in the creation of this thing, like this is a movement of inertia. Like it's an unstoppable force. um I think Sky, as I talk about mediums and artists being mediums, like I think the same goes for like conversations and energy. Like Zack Snyder's uh fan base is so big and so powerful, um but in order to access that, you need to have an outlet, right? To put a machine on, to have any of the stuff that I need an outlet to plug into the power source. Like, how are we going to plug into what the Snyder fandom was and is to keep this dream alive? And Sky was the outlet for that. And if it wasn't Sky being the outlet for it, it wouldn't be what it is. And it wouldn't have became what it became because his ideas, the ROEs, everything, him being friends with Leon and having that brain to bounce off of, the expertise to talk to. If you don't have all that coming from Sky, then this doesn't work out the way that it does. I'm not involved in it if it wasn't for Sky. So or Necron or anybody like that. So it that's how I got involved. It was just, like, what the fuck is going on, dude? Kind of like that's a lot of the stuff that happens with me. Because I try to stay away from it as much as I can because I'm very influenced by what I'm around. So I try and put myself in good influences. And not always on the Twitter timeline. And when that took off, it was kind of like, hey man, you got a seat. You gonna sit? Or are you gonna, do your own thing? Which is fine. Like it wasn't like, and to anybody who's a part of this, like, yo, You're never strapped to your chair. You can get up and leave whenever you want. But it is an honor to have a seat at the table, and I don't take that lightly. So when Sky was like, "Yo, man, this is what happened. This is the idea. Do you want to be a part of it? Like, whatever you can do, do. That's cool with me." And I was like, "Dude, yeah, can I be a part of it? Like, can I do something? Can I would really like to, do this and this and this." Exactly. And when we had that idea for the first AFSP shirts, it was like, uh, I don't even know if they asked me to, or I just was like, "Yo, I'm doing the t-shirts." I got them. Boom. And Sky was, then all credit to him. The being a good leader is letting your people do what they do. Uh, yep. I gotta get around.
Here, let
Uh,
me put the solo layout for this. Okay,
go ahead.
can't really see. Can you see the back of my?
Yes. If I advance, follow me. If I retreat, kill me. If I die, avenge me. With Zack Snyder's DC logos underneath. And we did that. And my idea for that was, um, the picture we saw of him on set. I think that was from Man of Steel or BVS, but we never had that shirt available to buy for ourselves. It was just like something we saw Zack wearing. And it might have just been a crew shirt, who knows? But I was like, "Yo, let's have that. Let's incorporate that, because what we do as a fans base, as a movement, is all um, embodied by what Snyder has done and what we want to see him continue do. And he is, a role model, and he is the artistic vision behind all of this. Like, whatever I do and I make is always like, all right, well, what has Snyder done? And what can I do to, build off the top of that? So when we had the idea to do the shirts, I first and foremost, I had made the logo, because me being the logo guy, they were like, "All right, Austin, like, waiting on you, dude." And I think me and Leon were going back and forth about the logo, like, "All right, what do you guys think?" And Leon was the first person to respond, like, "I think we should have this." Okay, boom, add it to what I had. Uh, didn't like it. I didn't like it, but I liked his ideas. So I made a whole new logo, which is the one that you have now on your shirt, where it's just it was the badge and then the heroes going down the side of the JL. It's very hard to see. It's so small right there. And it had hashtag Netflix in the bottom. There you go. It's sort of hard to see, but you get the gist. Everyone's seen it too, with the Justice League members on the side of it, inside of the shield, and that was like the final version of it. And then on our first trending day that we had, 214 last year, Wayne T. Carr put out the infamous tweet. "I don't understand a lot of things, but this makes sense," and put out the Justice League logo, the new Justice League logo that we had never seen before, with what's on your shirt right there, with the octagon of heroes logos that goes around. And what he had was just the JL logo on the inside. And I was like, "Oh, guys, but what about this?" And I combined the logos and put our shield in the middle of those. And everyone was like, "Yeah, that's it. That's the one. This is the final iteration of it." So I put that together, and as soon as we had the logo finalized, I made a shirt. And I want it to be um clean, precise, professional, just like we are. And something that you could wear and not feel like you're wearing a superhero shirt. You know what I'm saying? Like, "Oh man, I got a big Flash logo on my shirt, and it's a giant red shirt. Like, I look like a doofus if I'm trying to be cool going out to the club. I got a giant green shirt, and it's just a Green Lantern logo, like, or it's a Superman shirt with a Superman logo. Like, you look like a doofus if you're trying to go to the club. But if you go to the club in our Cell shirts, or like the bar in our Cell shirts, you look professional. You look nice. At least the first iteration, in my opinion, of that. And obviously the Noel Leon Flores shirts are just as cool, and have their own flair to them. So I thought that's where we needed to go. More professional, more precise, more effective. That was our message as a movement, and that's why I made the shirts the way that I did, to embody that. And like I said, it's art, right? So it's all the pieces of what make us us. I'm trying to put that into our art, and our messaging ultimately that everyone sees. So that's my part in all this, man. Is like I said, the pseudo art director of Cell, and I'm very, very blessed and very privileged to be a part of it, and to like have that title and be the guy, because I love it. I really do.
And I love the design of this shirt. I really do. And it's so beautifully designed. And now I kind of want to ask, why whites? Because I know a lot of shirts aren't white. So why? There was a reason you made this white, if I recall. What was that?
Yes. So the white was, as we were distinguishing ourselves online with our ROEs and trying to differentiate ourselves from the toxic past of Restore and the Fire James Gunn and the Fire Zasloff, all the toxicity, and negativity. Um, all of the old shirts all of the old campaigns were all black shirts. And I really felt like to differentiate ourselves, we had to do something different. Everyone wanted a black shirt, uh, for everything. Everyone has a black shirt if you look in your closet. But I was like, uh, we need to do something different. Well, what's the color gonna be? We are the opposite of the toxic Cell fan base. And what's the opposite of black? What's the color of new opportunities, and hope and all that? Oh, it's the white. Wearing white, just like a bride does on their wedding day. It's a new union. So I thought that's what we needed to do, and that's why I went with white.
And I love the design of white. I mean, only disadvantage, you have to be careful eating with a white shirt on because
Yes.
I do have a
That's a
stain on the
that is one
bottom.
thing well, and that's part of another reason why I liked it. It's like, if you get this shirt, if you have that shirt, you wanna keep it nice. So it's gonna be nice. So, that's another reason. Like, it's gonna have to be kept nice, or you're not gonna wear it, and you wanna wear that shirt, so you're gonna keep it nice. Make sure you got that Tide, bleach pen on deck if you're going anywhere.
Yep, I know that. I know that. And I guess so. Now, one thing I kind of want to ask is I'm going to try my best to show this again, but okay. So I noticed that the hashtag, it's hard to see, okay, but so I noticed the hashtag just says sell on there. It doesn't, why not sells the SJL to Netflix? Why? I mean, we're marketing to Netflix, aren't we? So why would you not include Netflix in the design of the shirt?
Well, we were actually, told that we couldn't, when so the design went in. uh, Necron was, and shout out to Necron, doing all the talks with Ink to the People. He was the guy taking care of that. I think Sky was too busy, and he just trusted Necron to do it, so he asked Necron to do it, and he did it. And Necron was like, "Yo, man, where's the design?" I sent it right to his email, and he sent it to the People, and they told us, they hit us up like, might be a little bit of a problem with this because of the Netflix, but we will ask Zack Snyder's people. We'll hit up his people and see if it's all right. So as far as we know, they hit up Wes when, Necron said that it's Wes. They contacted, him, who is Zack Snyder's right hand man. And if you were at Full Circle, you know anything about Zack Snyder, you know that's like his assistant, Wes. So they hit him up, asked him about it, and if we could do it, because also we were kind of using Zack's logo that Wayne T. Carr put out, using all of his characters and the Justice League logo, and then using his quote that he had used in a previous shirt. Are you okay with it? Is your team okay with it? And they came back and they were like, everything looks awesome. except you got to get rid of Netflix because that's a corporation and this is a charity, and we just don't want to f anything up with that and have any nonsense with that. So we're like, all right, take that out. And originally the first logo had sell #sell up top. 2 was right above the word 2, TO was right above the Justice League logo. So it was sell 2 or sell Justice League, and 2 was actually after that. Sorry. Zack Snyder's Justice League 2. And then I had the Netflix logo at the bottom where you see sell now was actually the Netflix logo. And I had to think of a way. I'm like, shit, I got to take Netflix out of this. But if I take that away from the bottom, then the bottom's just blank. What do I do? And I switched it around, and I took out everything. And I think I remember I was at work when I got the message from Necron saying that they were sending it to Zack Snyder's people and that we may have to redo the logo. And my first reaction was, and I'll be completely honest with you, after telling you what I told you about the iterations of all of the trial and error to get to the final logo that we got to, when I got a message from Necron telling me that we had to do it, my first reaction was, you gotta be fucking kidding me. That's what it was. Because I was like, I thought we were done with this logo. I gotta redo this fucking thing again. I gotta open this stupid file again. I was so mad. But I did it, obviously, because there was work to be done. So opened it up, figured it out, and I figured when we talk about it, when we had talked about it before we started saying Zack Snyder Sell movement, we would just say the hashtag Sell movement, hashtag Sell. So that's what I put in the logo, hashtag Sell, because it included both of them, and got the point across very easily, I thought, and everyone seemed to agree. So that's what we went with. Send it to Necron. Necron sent it back to Ink to the People. Ink to the People sent it to Zack's people, and which is Wes, and Wes hit us back and said that we were good to go.
And yeah, you told me before with art, it's like one little detail that you have to change can screw the whole thing up because every detail's perfect. So it's like when you edit a video, it's like the music's perfectly lined up with that scene or something. So it's like one minor detail changes the whole thing. But the biggest thing I get from this, Zack's people approved the shirt. Zack Snyder's people approved the shirt, people.
Yep. And he saw and obviously I think it was probably someone like Wes is in his office, Zack Snyder's down the hall, or they're hanging out together, maybe in a meeting. He gets the email. I was like, oh, this looks pretty cool. Yo, Zack, check this shit out. And Zack sees it and he's like, well, wait a second. Are they using the freaking logo that I just sent to Wayne T. Carr? And his brain gets going and his wheels start turning. Little did we know, we didn't know that was a thing. We just my first after I had the initial reaction of like, God damn it, I don't want to work on this logo anymore. My second reaction was, Zack Snyder's about to see my logo. Oh shit, Snyder's about to see my work right now. That's so cool. So that was I didn't think it would go anywhere else. Like, when you get to meet your hero, if you're able to shake his hand, like that's all you need. For me, at least, I don't need an interaction with him. Just to like, yo, what's up? That's it. And so the fact that I knew that he was going to see my work, that was like a huge day for me. That's why I remember where I was and what I was doing, because I was like, yo, Zack Snyder's about to see my work right now. And I'm using his stuff, but not using it. And like, so that took us right into the future. After that, we sold, I think our first campaign was like $800, which is pretty good. I would say it only ran for a month. So we did pretty good that first campaign.
Yeah, $800 for AFSP and spread the message of sell. I call that a success. And just
Yeah, absolutely.
the fact that you got Zack's people, and as Sin Havoc says, hold on, God, so many tabs in SAP. I'm getting my work mixed up with this in StreamYard. Yep, patience, Austin, patience, and it paid off. And I want to show something else next, but before I do this, I guess I kind of said I would bring up Mikey Sutton again, and I guess my question is, what was Mikey Sutton's big influence on the Sell campaign?
Oh man, it's hard to say that without giving up too many secrets. And some info that I don't feel like it's mine to say. But to put it plainly, like bigger than you guys would ever know. Um, if we were gonna have like Power Rangers had the guy that they talked to, I forget what his name is. But that was kind of like
Zordon?
Mikey Sutton. Was that
Zordon?
Zordon? Yes. Um, that was kind of like Mikey was that for us. He wouldn't necessarily like tell us what to do or give us ideas, but when we would have ideas, he would help us facilitate them and help us, accomplish what we want to accomplish because he had connections and he knew things that, and it was able to uh, get information that we just weren't able to get or be privy to conversations that we would never be privy to by ourselves. And as I was saying earlier, like his influence on me was a part of this movement, directly a part of it going through like while we were working on our stuff, and Mikey's personal stuff that he was having me work on for him, that was like secondary to what we were doing for Cell and the work we were doing for Snyder fans and the Snyder fandom. So he had a massive part. That's why like when he passed away, it was hard to figure out where to go from there because not that like we relied on him by any like shape of the imagination or any form, but like um he was like the grease of the wheels because we knew a direction we wanted to go and he would help us like figure out how to get there and tell us whether or not something was a good idea or a bad idea. And oftentimes it was always a good idea to Mikey. So just that encouragement alone that he gave us, it was kind of like the ultimate reassurance that you could be doing the right thing. Like because there's such a loud contingency of people that don't want us to be successful and just don't
Yeah.
want us to be happy. Um, when you hear that so much, you start to think maybe that's real. And it was good to like have Mikey there to be like the stone of reasonability and the like I said, expertise. He had so many years under his belt in this industry, in the entertainment industry, that he could call a spade when he saw one, and when a spade wasn't a spade as well, when there was a fake or a flake out there. So he was so vital to what we uh, became, and after his passing, probably even had more of an impact on us, um, just to continue what we were doing because of all the things and all the reassurance that he gave us beforehand. Like, well, if we stop now, all of that was worth nothing. And we just will be spitting on all of the conversations, all of the brain hours, it's all the time that we put in beforehand and that the time that Mikey put in for us. Um, so yeah, we couldn't piss it away into the wind. Um, just because Mikey had passed away, it wasn't just like, and we knew it too. Like we, in a way, wanted to stop just because of the grief that we felt, but we knew that it couldn't stop because of what it meant to everybody and what it meant to Mikey.
Exactly. Well said. Well said. Because it's kind of like what I said earlier in the Mikey Sutton topic. The best way we honor these people is by continuing the work they did, continuing what they helped us with. And
Right.
when sell happens, and it will happen, people, faith, Alfred, faith, it'll be Mikey's son will be looking again for whatever afterlife you guys prefer to use, and he'll be smiling. So
Oh hell yeah, dude. I think he still is too. Everything that goes on. Uh like I can't remember off the top of my head. I know one moment, but there was another one where I was like, dude, if that ain't Mikey giving us a sign, I don't know what the hell it is. But one of them for sure was and I think Sky talked about this. Uh but when Wayne T. Carr just showed up to Sky's work randomly,
oh
uh
yeah,
that was like a
our Green
week after.
Lantern.
Yeah, we were just talking about Mikey a lot and like just needed a sign from the ethos that we were still doing the right thing because we didn't have Mikey there to tell us that we were. Um, Having that happen to Sky was so cool. It was a big moment for all of us. Obviously, we're like, dude, of all people to have to run into Green Lantern, like it's you. Of course, it would be you. It needed to be you. And if that wasn't like Mikey putting that together, like shut up. Yeah, like of course it was.
And for those of you, just to clarify, who don't know, because in case I have any audience outside of SylNation watching this, Wayne T. Carr is the guy that Zack Snyder used to film the Green Lantern scene that was cut from the Snyder Cut. So this is Zack Snyder's Green Lantern, and when we get the Emerald Cut and ZSJL 2 and 3, you will see Wayne T. Carr as John Stewart Green Lantern. So, and speaking of Wayne T. Carr, actually, okay, I've only done this a few times, so let me try to get this right. Okay, hopefully. Okay, so let's just quickly
Hey.
pivot. So you mentioned here how Zack's team had to approve the cell, and these are all the symbols you did, right? So you created this one.
No, Zach created that one.
Oh, hey, Zack, it was. Oh no, you did this. This is what you did. You
Yep.
created the symbol. You combined the two symbols into a hidden message
Like I said,
because
I'm always looking. I'm always looking.
yeah, because Discover these two fight. Wonder Woman stands.
So the significance of that was that Zach saw the logo and um he ended up having a full circle event, aka SnyderCon 2 or whatever it was. Um and they were gonna be watching his full, or I shouldn't say full, but his DC arc as of right now, Man of Steel, BVS, Zack Snyder's Justice League, and celebrating Zack Snyder. Well, that wasn't announced when we put out our shirts. That wasn't even a thing. If it was in the works, maybe it was, and maybe this was already a design that he had in mind. But when the full circle shirts came out, he was gonna have a full circle event. All right, well, you do the AFSP shirts, like that's what you're known for, Zach. Like, and all the hidden messaging that we've seen in them over the years. What do you have? What's gonna be the hidden messaging this time? What's gonna be the design this time? And if you go back to the first symbol, that was actually the design that was on the back of the full circle shirts. It's a quote from Silas Stone, which you see there, Stone on the bottom. And he says, "We need the time is now to stand, to fight, to discover, to win, to heal, to love." Um, that was on the back of the full circle shirts, and everyone was like, "Oh, all right, that's cool." And everyone was looking at the full circle posters and the statue, and then the picture on the front of the t-shirts that had a similar design to an old t-shirt, but nobody looked at this. Nobody looked at this and to what it actually meant. Like, oh, it's a Silas Stone quote. That's it. And then one day I was making a thumbnail and I saved that previous this in my gallery during full circle because when I was watching it, I was like, or when I saw it, I was like, this means something. I don't know what it means. And everyone's looking out, like I said, throughout my whole life, everyone's looking at Batman versus Superman, and Batman and Superman. I'm looking at Flash and Green Lantern. So when everyone's looking at the front of the shirt and looking at the posters, I'm like, all right, they're getting distracted by something that we're not seeing. And I saw this in the back. I didn't know what it was. I saved it. It's in my camera roll. I'm making a thumbnail that has the Cell logo in it. So I have this in the thumbnail. And I was like, you know what? This is a full circle stream. We're talking about full circle. Let me put that full circle logo in it. And I was moving those logos around in the thumbnail. And I was like, wait a second. And I just so happened to drag the full circle logo over the top of the Cell logo. And I had this what the hell, no effing way moment when I put them together, because in this stage, it's superimposed over it. It's like a highlight over it where all the words fit perfectly over the logos. Everything that's the triangles now have a perfect outline to where before it made no sense. The Alpha Omega triangle cuts off right at the Cell hashtag, and underneath it is where the triangle perfectly encompasses Zack Snyder's name. You see Zack right at the top of that next triangle, or whatever that trapezoid is, and it cuts down all the way to where you see 2, and right above Netflix, and the line of stone where it says stone goes right above Netflix, which is foundation of stone, and the time is now. That part is for Zack Snyder's Justice League to go to Netflix, and the tip of the spear of that triangle, the Alpha Omega, is hashtag Cell, which is hashtag SellZSJLToNetflix, hashtag SellSnyderVerseToNetflix, and I thought these words, not only were they very apparent, and obviously they were part of the quote in Zack Snyder's Justice League that Silas Stone says, but it also goes over the heroes in his movie and in Zack Snyder's story, but the heroes that we all call ourselves as well. And I know that Josh called himself the Martian Manhunter, but I believe that he's actually the Aquaman of our movement. And he found a home in a different home, and found a team in an unlikely place that he didn't think he would find a team. And our fight comes from Sky and from Leon, and our Wonder Woman now, who stood up and made a stand, is A-Pass. And I think our cyborg, to me, is actually Syl. And I know our Lobo is kind of Aquaman, Necron. But I think he's Martian Manhunter. He's actually the one who's on the outside of all this. He's the Dark Lord, but he decided he has to stick up for this world as well because he lives in it. So I think that's our Martian Manhunter, and our actual Green Lantern is Green Lantern himself, Wayne T. Carr. And through him, he has helped us heal and move forward as a movement. So that all went together. And as you see right there, I said, thanks to Wayne T. Carr as well for helping with the Soul logo. I don't know if you meant to, but we appreciate that and everything you've done to help us along the way. And he replied to that with a pound, saying, you got it, bro. And that was December 7th of last year. So, a little over 2 months ago when I figured that out, found that message in the Speed Force, and it all makes too much sense to dispute. I'm like, I was the first one. I was shaking when I figured. I'm like, no way. I discovered this. Like, he's telling me to discover. I thought that was all crazy. So, the fact that I shared it with everybody and they all kind of had the same aha, like holy shit moment. I was like, all right, okay, this isn't just a fluke. It's not just myself seeing what I want to see. I'm seeing it for what it is. And it just goes to show you that Snyder has had our back the whole way. and he's been behind this movement the whole way. And Wayne T. Carr is kind of the conduit of that. So shout out to Wayne, being our mascot and being our little messenger between us and Zack. We appreciate that, man.
Exactly. Just had to
Perfect
show it
picture.
was. And what a great, like, just all around, like, just the fact that Wayne T. Carr acknowledged this. I mean, the fact that Wayne T. Carr hinted at your symbol. That's like, people. This is not nothing. This is actual Snyderverse actors.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know some of these Snyder fans don't like half the Snyderverse actors we know, but
I agree, man. It couldn't be bigger than that. Couldn't be bigger than having one of the actors reach out. And from the get-go, Wayne T. Carr has been very vocal about it. So shout out to him and Snyder for giving him the images that he gave Wayne T. Carr in order for us to use, because that's been the status quo this whole time too. Snyder gives us art to create art from, and that's what we continue to do. So thank you for putting a highlight on that as well back then.
yeah, no problem. And I just want to show Josh's comment real quick, and that's exactly what I love is that, and look where we are now. And
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to highlight your art on this because that's a big part. Like, that's been a big contribution of yours, was highlighting was the art for the Cell movement and really getting that acknowledgement from Wayne T. Carr. There was no way I could do this interview and not bring that up, and just really just because I've heard it from you before what you said, but it's different listening to you live talk about it, because
Mm-hmm.
maybe you mentioned it on a stream before, but some of these streams are past my bedtime and I can't. So it's like, I can't catch them all. So unlike Pokemon, I cannot catch them all. So
I hear you, man.
thank you.
I hear you. Like I said, time is valuable. You got to use it when you can use it.
Exactly. And I really appreciate all this insight on Cell. And before we move on to the game plan for tomorrow, I just want to ask, let's say Netflix and WBD, they work it out for the Air Cut, ZSJL 2 and 3. We'll say any film project, including the Air Cuts and ZSJL 2 and 3, and one more additional project. After this, we're done. Nothing else. What do you pick for that last project?
I mean, come on, man. I think you know what I'm gonna pick. I want to pick an actual Flashpoint Paradox live action. Give me Eobard Thawne chasing down Barry through the multiverse. Let me see Thomas Wayne as Batman. Give me Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Give me that. Give me all that. More, more, more. Michael B. Jordan voice Cyborg in the Flashpoint Paradox. I think it would be cool to, like, I love Ray Fisher, right? But it obviously people look different sometimes in the Flashpoint Paradox, like Thomas Wayne being Batman. If that was one of the things, like maybe Ray Fisher can't be available, if we had Michael B. Jordan be a freaking cyborg, that would be pretty cool too. And have a little bit more jacked up, like, because the cyborg in the Flashpoint Paradox is like a ammunition machine. Like, he is a little more jacked up, a little bit bigger, using more weapons and stuff. So that would be cool to see. Zack Snyder writing, producing, even if he doesn't direct it, I think he needs to write it. A Flashpoint Paradox film on Netflix. That would be amazing, dude. Take my money, take all of it right now.
Yeah, I would love that too. I would really love that too. The only thing I will say is I hope they don't go completely Flashpoint and reset the timeline, because now that the Snyderverse is continuing on its own Elseworld thing, me personally, I don't like the idea that the timeline resets and then none of it mattered because Flash just reset time anyway. So just show us
Yeah.
Flashpoint timeline. And I know Zack was gonna do that initially, which I'll be honest, wasn't a fan of. That was one of the few Zack Snyder things I was not a fan of. But now that's Elseworld, just show Flashpoint, normal timeline, and yeah, I agree. I would love to see that project. It would be so amazing. And I, and assuming Ben Affleck's Batman is still alive, that letter scene at the end,
Right.
Or that would be Ben Affleck playing that scene would be so emotional. I
That's what I'm
that's
saying. Like, you're a hell of a messenger. Oh, can you imagine him saying that? Like, dude. But that's the thing with the Flashpoint paradox. Um, I think what's different, as far as like maybe what he had planned to do to reset it, like everyone is it says that for the comic book, yeah, but the animated movie didn't reset shit. It just was a standalone. He just went back to normal. He just looked cooler because he had a different suit with more like the Speed Force reacted to his suit. He had more golden stripes on his suit, but he went back to the same universe, and that's why he was able to give Batman that message. He went right back to it. And you see that when he gets like, oh, this is normal again. Like, I'm back at my old job. I got all this stuff. So you know that he's in the same universe that he was in the animated movie. They could totally do that as a one-off Flash story, as a movie, a standalone film, but have Batfleck in it.
yeah, and I think that'd be great. And actually, Songwriter was telling me, and Sin Havoc's even backed him up on this, that when he was doing research for the book, that legally speaking, Man of Steel, BVS, and ZSJL, the Snyderverse is a separate IP from the DCEU. So regardless of any films that would consider the Snyderverse canon in their movies, if Zack were to continue the Snyderverse on Netflix, legally he may only be allowed to reference those three movies right then and there. So they could do a Flashpoint movie, even though the Flash movie already did it. Especially if you, what I think too, the Flash movie will be canon to the original Snyder cut. What we're going to see on Netflix is going to be canon to the Emerald version of the Emerald cut. So
Yeah, I would agree with
it
that
could,
too, and it's a good idea for them to do that. They're kind of he's already toying with that concept, right? With Rebel Moon being that the PG-13 is its own universe, and then the extended cut's going to be its own universe too. So you can absolutely do that, and Zod made a great point with that. Like, it is its own IP, it's its own universe because of how they're marketing and selling it. One, but also how Zach labeled it, and marketed it himself. So the having that ability, yeah, like I feel like a lot of things are still out in the open, for possibilities, uh when this does get sold to Netflix. So anyone who has like a part of all those other hashtags or movements or wants something, like, these hashtags are your ticket to getting that or having the hope of it being produced.
Snyderverse includes Air Cut, includes Man of Steel 2, includes Batfleck v Deathstroke. It includes it all, not just ZSJL 2 and 3. So tomorrow's the big day. Oh, there we are. Tomorrow's the big day. So I guess, Austin, what's the big game plan for tomorrow's big 214 trending events?
The game plan is to do what we do at an amplified level, which is drive engagement to Netflix and let Netflix know that they have a viable subscriber base that wants Zack Snyder's DC content and wants more Zack Snyder. The way we're going to do that is on Twitter, hashtagging, but also watching Zack's projects on Netflix. We're going to start with his two like biggest DC films on Netflix. I guess there's only DC films on Netflix: Man of Steel and BVS, and then we're gonna continue on YouTube with the actual watch along with Army of the Dead and Rebel Moon. But we're gonna be watching those movies on Netflix, and while also talking together in Twitter Spaces, and having a massive Twitter space where everyone can, voice their questions, comments, concerns, about us, about the cell movement, about the ideas, whatever it may be. And while also, if you're down, if you want to participate, watching these movies on Netflix so that they can see, oh, damn, like, how many people are watching Man of Steel right now? How many hours watched does Man of Steel and BVS have on 214 out of nowhere? Like, why is everyone watching this Zack Snyder content on 214? They're gonna notice, and that's the whole reason why we're doing that, and that's the prerogative of tomorrow. Um, Another, there'll be some other surprises along the way too. For tomorrow, there's some evolution is gonna be seen tomorrow and announced tomorrow. So we got that coming up too. Not only do you know what you know, but you don't know what you don't know. So just be on the timeline tomorrow and be active, and bring your passion as well. Like, don't just retweet other people's like posts all day long. Like, tell us what you want to see. Tell us why you do what you do and why you're here. Because the more voices we have speaking up about that, the more diversity that we can show to the world, and the more people that will voice their opinion as well and want to be a part of it. So we can't stop talking about it. We can't stop being passionate about it just because people don't like it. That's fine. They can just go on about their day, and we can continue what we're doing. If you're a good person, and say you have a problem with religion, right? You have a problem with Christianity. A lot of times you just mind your effing business. You don't stop at the church and go up to the door and tell them all your problems that you have. You just keep driving by the church. So that's what we're hoping a lot of other people are going to do. And if they want to come inside the church and start talking all types of nonsense, we're going to kick them out. It's pretty simple, because this is about a good time, about good vibes, and about showing love on Valentine's Day for Zack Snyder. So that's what the game plan for tomorrow is, and to continue to spread our message of positivity, and that there's good people out there that want to see an amazing story finished, and we want to see it finished selfishly so we can watch it, selfishly so we can have Zack Snyder be redeemed, but also because this is a story that we need right now, as a country, as a society, where people of different cultures, religions, backgrounds can all come together for the betterment of humanity. We need to be reminded that that's a possibility, and not just a movie of one guy taking on the world. Like, it's not based in reality. That's not going to ever get anything done. Like, Sky will tell you, like, he's not a one-man army. We're an army together. So there's nothing good is going to come from that. We got to be voiced together, and be one, and be positive, and just do what we do. So if you want to be a part of that, if you want to continue the DC story, Snyder's DC story, this is the lane, this is the avenue. So drive on down and get in the motorcade, because we got places to be.
Exactly. Be there tomorrow. Plenty of time. And if you don't want something, just don't watch it. Don't be involved. Stay in your lane. We'll stay in ours. And
Keep
that'll be
on
that.
driving. Right.
And I guess, what time does the Man of Steel watch along on Twitter start tomorrow?
7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. So in the morning, we're going to be going all day long. If you're working, before you go to work, put your Netflix on your TV, and make a list, make a watch list. So that way you have Man of Steel and BVS play right after each other. Get home for the nightcap, and it's 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. for Eastern for Army of the Dead, I believe. And then Rebel Moon is at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, to end the day. So set up Man of Steel and BVS while you go to work, and then when you get home later in the day, you can join us for Army of the Dead and Rebel Moon.
And I understand a lot of people, tomorrow is Valentine's Day. I know 214 minutes for the original theatrical cut of Zack Snyder's Justice League, hence 214, but it just happens to fall on Valentine's Day.
Just so happens, so we're showing our love for Snyder.
Schedule your tweets. Schedule your tweets. If you have a significant other you need to appease, we understand that may not be skipping out on Valentine's Day may not be an answer. Schedule your tweets. With work, schedule your tweets. Now, me, I took off tomorrow. I wasn't going to do this, especially so early in the year, but I'm like, you know what? This trending event is too
Gotta.
important. I'm determined that we're getting the ZSJL 2 and 3 this announcements this year. I'm determined to make it happen. So I will be there the whole day tweeting
Thank you.
and no problem. And so guys, we can do this. I know we can. And Austin, thank you so much for coming on. It's great learning about you, learning about your different backgrounds. This stream will be on replay, people, and I will timestamp it because I always timestamp these streams, particularly the long ones. But it was great learning all about you, learning all the different backgrounds because there was so much about you, and I was really glad to have you on. So I guess
Thank you, man.
what's any final thoughts and what's coming up?
Final thoughts. I gotta say, appreciate you for all the questions and for having the interest to have me on. It's an honor, really, when people are like, "Yo, man, let's learn more about you." I'm like, "Okay, cool." Like I feel like I've had an interesting life, so when I get to talk about it, I feel very blessed to do so. So thank you for having me on and allowing me to put this spotlight on Cell and the spotlight on Sky and Leon and Necron and Syl and Mikey and all the homies that I've had the pleasure to talk to and work with every day. It really is a blessing. So I can't say that enough. I know I probably said it ad nauseum tonight, but like I take everything. I don't take anything for granted, and I take everything to heart, and I really love these people. I love what I do. I love my life, so I can't feel more grateful than I am. So thank you for allowing me to show and talk about that and show praise and give praise and show love, because that's what I like to do and that's what I like to listen to. So yeah, I guess I gotta at the end here say thank you to you, but if we're gonna talk about my influences, I gotta say thank you first and foremost to my parents, my mom, my dad. Without them, I wouldn't be who I am. My brother, my big brother, love that guy. He's about to have his second kid, and my entire family, my aunts, my uncles, my grandma, my grandfathers, and my friends who I grew up with. Like I wouldn't be me if it wasn't for all of them. So I can't come on here and say, oh, I'm this interesting guy. Like I really, I guess I don't give myself enough credit, but I don't feel like I deserve it because I am all of these people combined into one. They made me who I am, and I wouldn't be me if it wasn't for them. So I'm very thankful and very grateful, and I love the heck out of all those people. Love the crap out of my family, and I can't say that enough. So thank you for giving me the platform to speak about all these people glowingly, and thank you also for giving me the opportunity to make more art and do stuff with that. So it's been an immense opportunity for me, and I can't say enough about how thankful I am for it. So thank you. And what's coming up? More racing, more sports, more good times, more of me on YouTube. So if you like hanging out with me, if you like listening to me talk, there's gonna be more of me to go around for everybody. Gonna be putting myself out there more, hanging out more. So I want to hear more about everyone else's stories. I know I'm not the only one with an interesting story. So thank you for doing what you do, for carrying on what Mikey, saw in you, for being inspired. You're a big part in what we do every day, and you're a big supporter in all of our chats and all of our communities. So thank you, Bathan, for having me on and having this platform. I really appreciate it, man.
Anytime. And I'm always happy to support an awesome community, and it's great. And I'm really excited for tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a big day, and I'm going to continue doing what I do. And congratulations to your brother, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Anytime. And I'm happy for all your friends and family who made you who you are, because I enjoy talking to you. I enjoyed this stream tonight. I enjoyed just all your comments in the chat and all these chats. So I'm actually gonna, for what's coming up for me. So as you know, I'm doing a Zack Snyder review series where I review all of Zack Snyder's different movies to get ready for Rebel Moon Part 2 and also to hype up Cell. Again, Rebel Moon and Cell, hype each other up.
Yes,
So
sir.
I'm gonna put you on the spot right now. So I'm getting together a Guardians of the Galaxy review with Skywalker, and since you just mentioned it earlier, I was wondering if you would be interested in joining us for this.
Bro, if you weren't gonna ask me, I was gonna ask you. Yeah, I want to be a part of that for sure. That's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Great. So we'll talk more details and we'll get that figured out. And just so you know, Super Bowl Corey, in the Austin's art section for SylNation, I
You
actually
mentioned.
did play Christmas intros, showed my Christmas logos, showed my Christmas backgrounds to show Austin's artwork. So I broke my own rule, and I even said I'm really glad Corey's not in the stream right now. That Super Bowl Corey's not in the stream. So for that specific reason.
Speak of the devil.
And coming up for me, other than that, is Madam Web comes out, so Sox and I are gonna try to get together to review that movie, as well as talk about the Deadpool 3 trailer. So be on the
Got it.
lookout for that. And more interviews, more Zack Snyder movies. Gonna hype up Sell on this channel. This channel is gonna, until Rebel Moon Part 2 comes out, I'm putting all my focus, aside from the Madam Web review, to really hype up Cell and Rebel Moon. So thank you all who came. Thank you again, Austin, for coming on this stream. And guys, if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell for more unique takes, interesting thoughts, and great interviews such as these. And thank you, Zodwriter. Sell is the way. And there's links to both Austin's YouTube channel and the SylNation YouTube channel in the description.
Thank you, guys.
And
Thank you so much. Have a fantastic day. Yes.
have a bat-tastic day. Beat me to it.